Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Audio bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by Winamp for Android, the ultimate media player for your desktop and Android device, featuring wireless sync. Download it free at winamp.com/Android. Video bandwidth for TWiT is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 286, recorded January 30th, 2011. The Internet Kill Switch. This Week in Tech is brought to you by ICE.com. Your path to a successful Valentine's Day this year begins at ICE.com/TWiT for quality jewelry that's within your budget. And get $25 free to spend, plus free shipping. Only at ICE.com/TWiT. And by Carbonite. Backing up the files on your PC or Mac is safe and easy with Carbonite. For a free trial plus 2 free months with purchase, go to Carbonite.com. Offer code TWiT. And by GoToMeeting. Visiting contacts from New York to LA and Bangalore to London is time-consuming and expensive. Have meetings online instead with GoToMeeting. For your free 30-day trial, visit GoToMeeting.com/TWiT. It's time for TWiT, This Week in Tech, the show that covers the week's tech news. Joining us in studio today, Mr. John C. Dvorak. Good to see you. Look at all the light. I'm glad you came because, you know, it's not going to be many more shows out of the...
white balance on my face with the way you get...
You can't white balance your face. Here, we'll turn that camera down a little bit. You do look a little bright. John is the guy at, I don't know what to talk about.
ChannelDvorak.com.
ChannelDvorak.com. He writes for all these other people. And I can't plug Cranky Geeks anymore.
Yeah.
It's on No Agenda.
NoAgenda.com. NoAgendaShow.com, I'm sorry.
In the morning.
And where are my glasses? Did I bring my glasses?
John, you're getting on.
Oh, well.
MG Siegler. Where are my glasses?
Where are my glasses and my cup?
Look, John, soup. MG Siegler is also here from TechCrunch.com. Hey, MG.
Hey, how you guys doing?
John, I have your glasses.
Oh, thank you, Leo.
Thanks
Been working
for joining
together
us.
too long.
And also with us, Larry Magid from CBS and Larry's World. Hey, Larry, good to talk to you. Of course,
to talk to you
the
guys.
big story, and we'll start with the big story this week, unlike most weeks. The big story this week is, for the first time in living memory, and since the Internet's fairly new, I think this probably covers the whole gamut. The Internet was a country disconnected itself from the global net. Egypt, on Thursday, basically turned off the Internet by rerouting its routers, changing the border gateway protocol so that no traffic could come or go into Egypt. This in the wake of widespread protests on the streets of Cairo, Suez, and Alexandria. On the line with us to talk a little bit about it, a Syrian who is helping cover the story for a citizens website called globalvoices.org, Anas Qtiesh. Anas, thank you for joining us on This Week in Tech.
My pleasure, Leo.
So Anas is in Boston, by the way, not in Cairo. But let's talk specifically about, and there's been a lot of coverage. We actually asked Jenny Jardin to come on the show. She couldn't, but she suggested you because Boing Boing's been covering this heavily. Is this the first time a country has disconnected itself from the Internet?
Actually, this is the second time. I believe Burma did it a while back amongst protests. I don't remember the exact date.
How long did Burma stay offline?
I'm kind of hazy on the details of Burma, but when first Egypt disconnected itself entirely from the Internet, there were people who said that actually Burma was the first country, but I don't know the exact details about Burma.
It's pretty dramatic if you look at the graph from Arbor Networks of Internet traffic to and from Egypt. This is January 27th. You're going along in the morning at a terabyte. 2 terabytes by 6 a.m. By 2 p.m., nearly 3 terabytes of traffic into and out of Egypt. At 5:20 p.m., it's like a cliff. It drops
Can I
to
comment on this,
nothing.
on this chart?
Yeah.
Everybody brings this chart up. I've seen it on CNN, Fox News, and every place else. And it's a chart that everyone says, oh, it drops off the cliff. Yes, because they turned off the internet. Why is this a shock to anybody?
It's dramatic to see the sudden drop of internet traffic.
It's like my faucet. If you turn off the water, there's no water.
Visualizing it.
Yeah, I think
it makes it more just makes it like easier to wrap your head around it.
By the way, it's gigabytes, not terabytes. I've got the scale wrong again. So it goes from 1 to 3 gigabits and then drops off to 0. But that's a lot of internet traffic. First, let's start on us by asking, how was the internet being used by protesters?
Well, Egypt has a very active internet community, activists and bloggers. So people were live tweeting the protests. They were live streaming the protest video from their phones via different services. Photos were being produced, blog posts. So everything was just output of on every social media platform there is, Facebook groups. So it was, and the regime first tried to stop it. On the 25th, the first day of the protest, they blocked Twitter. On the 26th, they blocked Facebook. But people were getting proxies and circumvention software. So even that did not work. So by the 28th, they just took the entire country off the grid. Yeah. And even they disabled texting from cell phones just to go one extra step.
Yes. Can I make
and
a comment,
even
Leo?
BlackBerry Messenger services.
Sure. Larry Magid, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's true that they essentially cut off the internet, but sort of like cracks in a sidewalk where a little bit of grass goes through. We still haven't seen 100% blockout. People were getting through. They were dialing into modems, using analog modems to dial into other countries. They've been using satellite phones. They've been using ham radio connection to the internet. So even though they tried, they never 100% stopped traffic. And if you talk to the folks at Facebook or other services, they will say there was some, though not much, traffic coming from Egypt
Absolutely.
the entire time.
That's correct. And actually, there have been reports that actually one ISP left in Egypt that still has working lines. It's called Noor, I believe, and it serves around 8% or less of the entire user base in Egypt. So there are some users who are still have internet connection. There are people who are still delivering the news, who are uploading video. But as you said, it's just a tiny fraction of the average daily user base.
Anas, was the internet, was Twitter, were text messaging being used to organize protests as well? From
what I've seen, social networking was a big part of it. Like before the protest, there was a group on Facebook calling for the protest on the 25th, and it got around 90,000 participants. So Facebook was a huge part of it. Twitter comes in hand because it's just an instant way into exchanging news, where the police are, what's going on, where are the locations of dangers, where is looting going on, etc. So I think Facebook was a better platform to organize, but in terms of sharing news instantly and to an international crowd or just a large crowd, Twitter was the champion, I would say.
This is one thing I haven't heard a lot talked about. Who are these protesters, and what exactly do they want?
Basically, the protesters represent the entire Egyptian population. They come from different political, religious backgrounds, and their sole demand currently is for Mubarak to step down, the president to step down, and for the whole regime to be taken down and replaced with a democratic government.
So it is not a fundamentalist revolution.
No, not at all.
It is a pro-democracy revolution.
Absolutely.
Yet.
Well, that's a question. I mean, the Muslim Brotherhood has not been heard from. Is that right?
No, they've been heard from.
They have?
Yeah.
They joined up.
They have, but just judging by the dialogue of the people participating, when one person starts to steer the chance towards something religious, other people usually just tell them that this is a political protest and those are demands. Just don't divert from the core demands. So
until they lost their press credentials earlier this morning, I've been watching Al Jazeera English.
Oh, they're not. They're no longer broadcasting because that was really the only good source.
Yeah, they're kind of underground. They've actually been their license has been taken away. They were kicked off. They're not supposed to be broadcasting, but they are, and that's another point as well. They're doing it by phone. I don't think they have as much live coverage in the streets, but I've been watching that, and I've been very impressed with a lot of the folks that they've been interviewed. Young women that are extremely articulate, talking about this movement. I'm not saying there aren't fundamentalists that may be part of it, but I'm not seeing them represented certainly in the coverage from Al Jazeera.
And we should give a plug to your publication too, Anas, which is, of course, the Global Voices, globalvoicesonline.com, which is kind of a citizens' journalistic enterprise, blogs and citizen media from around the world. And there's quite a bit of Egyptian coverage there as well.
Yes, Egypt is exploding, and we've been receiving huge traffic over the Egypt coverage.
Yeah.
And globalvoices.org, online.org, just to quickly correct the
I'm sorry,
URL
yeah.
there.
Globalvoicesonline.org. Thank you. Yeah.
And the edge we have is that we provide the content translated into around 15 languages, so that also gives us an international exposure.
And actually, it's a good thing that we can see some translations from the Arabic of what's being said in Egypt as well. I think that's
absolutely
very valuable to get the actual discussion there. I wondered, I was in Cairo 2 years ago, and I learned that the population explosion going on in Egypt. I think I remember it was something like 1 million new people in Cairo every quarter.
What were you doing there then?
I was not helping the population explosion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was visiting the pyramids, but. I wonder, how much of this is just pure population pressure and economic unrest as well? I know, of course, Mubarak's been in power for 30 years and has promised democratic elections and not delivered. But you have to think that at some point, just the pure population pressure alone must be a real problem.
Absolutely. The economic sector is a big part of what's going on currently in Egypt. When you have an authoritarian regime like Mubarak's, definitely nepotism and corruption is in play, and that just really cuts into the livelihoods of the average citizen. I think maybe 40% of Egypt's population lives below poverty line, if I remember correctly, but I'll have to double-check that number.
You also, I was very impressed by a country like ours, when you might argue this, where the rule of law is what really applies. It's so different in a country like Egypt, where it's who you know, it's what bakshish you can pay, it's as you said, nepotism, and really that's demoralizing in an interesting way. If there's at least a sense that there's a rule of law and there's some sense of fairness, that's one thing. But if there's no sense of fairness, it's extremely difficult. And I really felt that when I was there. Anas, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What do you think is going to happen? We saw the Green Revolt in Iran. Basically, we saw it on the internet, we saw it on Twitter, but nothing really came of it. Mm-hmm. Will something happen here?
I think so. The regime is currently stalling. They're trying just to basically cause chaos and looting in Egypt, just so people would eventually give up and go home. But I don't see that happening. The difference between Egypt and Iran is that in Egypt, for the past few days, the police have disappeared for a couple of days, and now they're starting to come back. But the police lost control, and now the army is running the show, so to speak. They're stationed in Cairo and other major cities, and they're making sure that looting and crime does not spread. So I think the average citizen in Egypt highly respects the army, and they trust them much more than police forces that are known to be like the right arm of the regime.
I have a question for Anas, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What do you think of the stories we're hearing that the police are actually out there looting themselves, and some rumor that the police may have been the ones to open the doors at the prison? There's apparently thousands of prisoners that escaped.
I think that's reasonable and very likely because they want to spread that chaos. They want to spread that fear. They want citizens to want to end these protests so peace would be reinstated. So it's dirty play. It's an old tactic, and now it's being used in Egypt, and I bet it's been used countless times before. I think a few thugs who were looting and attacking people. They were caught, and they found police IDs with them.
Very interesting.
So,
Anash Qtiesh,
it's an unfortunate situation.
thank you for joining us and giving us your perspective on it from globalvoicesonline.org.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Excellent
Thank you for
source
having
for citizen journalism. Thank you, Anash. I think, there's some, this is important from a technical point of view because of the cutting off of the internet. I mean, of course, it's a big political story, but I think from a technical point of view, it's interesting, especially since Joe Lieberman of Connecticut and Susan Collins from Florida proposed this.
Collins is from New England, I believe.
Yeah, proposed this. Yeah, you might be right. Proposed this internet kill switch.
Yeah, S3480.
Now it was last Congress, but they say they're going to bring it back in this Congress.
Around,
is it? Yeah. And it really. She's from Maine. That's right. And it really does. This is a very dramatic example of why such legislation might be a really bad idea.
Well, it's a bad idea from the get-go, but it's funny to watch the chat room go on and on about, it's not possible. The fact of the matter is, with this government and the kind of rules they've got in play when it comes to...
It's a lot easier if you're
Homeland
totalitarian.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, let's put it this way. They put out the word, and by the way, there's a lot of black boxes on a lot of these major ISPs nowadays. Especially like AT&T's got one over in San Francisco at that CIA headquarters and that crazy building on 2nd Street. Anyway, say you're a CEO of one of the big companies and you have like somebody calls you from Homeland Security and says shut down your.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? No, and then end up in Gitmo. I mean, they throw you in jail.
But this internet kill switch would, I presume, effectively put a kill switch in each of these places, and you wouldn't have to ask. You just say the president. It would be the president without a court order or
Congress. There'd be a box on the network, and they just push the
button,
and they would go to these boxes, and it was essentially just shut down the machines.
I'm pretty hard pressed to think of a compelling security reason why you would want to do that.
They're talking about that. It's interesting that they bring it up right now. Of course, like what horrible timing. Why would they bring this up? It's such a bad. It's like the worst possible time.
Yeah, you and Mubarak together at last. Yeah.
But I mean, they're talking about how the details of this that they would use it for things like if there was some kind of terrorist incident and they needed to shut down, like people were attacking the thing that keeps the Hoover Dam, up and running and stuff. They would need to shut down the network.
Well, yeah, and they definitely don't want Leo Laporte on Comcast if somebody's attacking the Hoover Dam because, boy, that could be trouble.
Well, I agree with that theory, by the way. There could be some massive
like a bug,
worm coming in,
Stuxnet kind of
something ruining the country, and they had to reboot everything.
Well,
I think an internet reboot switch is a great idea.
This is the oldest excuse in the world, that there's going to be some terrorist attack, so we have to shut down this, shut down that, break into people's homes to steal information. This has been going on since the beginning of time. And as much as I am concerned about terrorism, I would rather we put our energy into shoring up the Hoover Dam so it's extremely difficult to make it happen.
Yeah, there you go.
Than shutting down the entire net. And,
better to be safe than sorry, Larry. Better to be safe than sorry.
Gee, we're trying to disrupt American business. Let's just shut down the internet. Who's going to win that battle?
Yeah.
The Ars Technical article on this was pretty good, though. All the technical details of how potentially they actually did this in Egypt, going into all the nuts and bolts of it. But, they bring up the point at the end that how much more difficult it would be actually to do this in the United States simply because it's such a bigger country, space-wise.
We're not as centralized.
Right. Everything in like European countries and in Egypt too is run through the capital city for the internet. It sounds like, whereas in the United States, it's all the different wires coming in from overseas that they have a bunch of different hubs that would have to basically do this all to at once, and it would take a lot more effort.
I remember when I was in Egypt, I believe that they said that there is basically one undersea cable going from the Mediterranean to Alexandria that connects the entire country. So it isn't so difficult, and it's nowhere near the complexity it would be in the
You
U.S.
know, the interesting thing is when the internet was first created, the reason they did this distributed processing
route around
was to avoid, we were worried about the Soviets, right? Cutting out our communication. The whole concept of the internet is to avoid the ability for one country to basically cut it. Yet, obviously, it can be done within that country. We saw that this week.
That architecture's long gone.
It's a lot more centralized than it used to be. There are only a few backbones. There's a few interconnects. I don't know. I mean, this is a great article. You're right, MG. A really good article in the Law and Disorder column of Ars Technica, speaking about how they do this. I don't think it's quite as easy here. However, doesn't mean people aren't going to debate the need for a kill switch. It just seems like a terrible idea. Larry, you said that people are finding ways to get online. You actually have an article on Larry's World about this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, first of all, I don't even know if I own a dial-up modem. I'll have to go look in my closet. There's probably one
I know
somewhere.
John has one, but I
have a boxed one.
I think
the Dennis Hayes autograph.
Yeah, Hayes autographed modem. Okay.
I think I'm going to dust it off if I can find it, because that's certainly one way they dialed into overseas ISPs.
It's one way, Larry. But to be honest about it, I wonder if I could hook the thing up and actually remember how to use it.
It's hard. It's hard.
I just remember.
Part of it is you can use. You're able to use a cell phone too to be able to do it. Right? There's a way that
if
people.
The cell phone networks worked, you could, and they do, of course, now. And where I'm seeing tweets as we speak from people on the ground in Egypt that are out there again tweeting through their cell phones.
By the way, why Edward R. Murrow would never have succeeded in journalism today, because I can't see him saying, "I'm seeing tweets as we speak coming in from all over the world."
That's what they're doing on these networks. The CNN and all the rest of them just show tweets. Hey, I can go to the computer and look at tweets on my own time.
CBS this morning, they had a big tweet deck, and they showed all the different feeds coming in. It was very impressive, of course. But if people are tweeting them from the ground. There's one blogger. Let me see if I can get his name. Whale Abbas. He's WAELABBAS, and he's blogging from the ground, sending pictures. And he was dark for a while, but he's back up. So there are people doing it, and even during the time when it was supposedly banned completely, people were doing it. So, as I said, you somehow get through. Also, ham radio connections.
Yes, ham radio is going to be the saving grace of the whole thing.
GPRS, baby.
Yep. Point to point. No central server.
I just think it's really interesting that information has become like water. It just will flow. It will find the cracks and it will come out.
The thing that has to be done, by the way, and there's a bunch of hams that apparently listen to this podcast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is that there are basically throttle internet connectivity through the ham frequencies, and I think that needs to change.
You mean they should have faster bandwidth?
It's very slow right now.
It's like ridiculous.
But it's better than not. I mean, look, we're spoiled, but nobody's. If there's a revolution, and we won't be trying to watch Netflix. That's not really the issue here. It's probably sufficient to send email.
And hams have been great in every disaster, and it's clear because you can't create a barrier to a ham operator. It's where they can try to jam their frequencies. But it's point to point. It's not going through a server.
Kids learn Morse code. That's all I can say.
You don't need that anymore for a license.
I know.
No, you don't, but it's still handy.
Thank you for correcting me, because it's still hammy?
Still handy.
Thank you for correcting me, because, frankly, I was going to get the email. So you never want to mess with a ham. Anything else to talk about with this Egyptian story, or should we move on? I think it's a fascinating story.
I think it's overcovered. I think we should let it shake out a week, and when you get back from Antarctica, we can talk about it more.
You love this that I'm going to Antarctica, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's fascinating that this is on our beat. I mean, those of us who are tech journalists.
Finally!
Clearly, finally we get to say
something to talk about other than Zuckerberg's sweatshirt.
Although I have to say the President's State of the Union was also on our beat. He actually gave a talk that dealt with technology issues.
Yeah, and he YouTubed his I thought that was really interesting for the second year in a row.
He did a shout-out to Facebook and Google, and he talked a lot about his fantasy that we're going to get 98% high-speed wireless Internet access within 5 years. Good luck.
Fantasy.
But he certainly painted a very optimistic picture of technology, and ironically, it was just right on the verge of what's happening in Egypt.
Have you, by the way, John, are you going to Madrid for the Ford thing?
I intend to,
Is that arranged?
I haven't finished the arrangements.
Okay, we're going to send a producer with you and a camera guy, if you don't mind.
A camera guy?
Well, you need a camera guy if you've got a camera. We could just send the camera.
Oh, send a producer and a camera guy?
We are. We're going to send a producer and a camera guy.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here, John Z. Dvorak. Back to you, Leo.
Exactly.
You want those?
Yeah.
You want a throwback?
Yeah. I want you to go, this is Madrid. I'm seeing tweets from all over talking about the new Ford Focus.
What do you think of the new Ford? It's a Ford. It's in Madrid. And you know what? You don't get to see too many of those in Spain.
Oh, no, that's not
Oh,
true.
that's right. This is the international car.
Ford is huge all over the world, yeah.
Is this your segue?
No, I don't have a Ford ad today,
Oh, I'm
actually.
sorry. I thought it was
You know
your
what I
segue.
have today? You know what's
I was
coming
going
up?
to play it up if it was your segue.
You know what's coming up? Valentine's Day.
Oh, really? I wonder, the funny thing about Valentine's Day, I'm always trying to figure out what to get.
I've got somewhere for you to go, John. Somewhere that will help you and all the people listening today buy their sweethearts something very nice for Valentine's Day. I'm talking about ice.com. This portion of the tech guy, this portion of TWiT, woo, is brought to you by ice.com. Come in here, Eileen. Look at this. Eileen has brought with her some lovely jewelry from ice.com. How many guys listening or watching right now have ever messed up Valentine's Day? Come on, John.
No, I never.
Larry, you have. MG, you better not.
Not me.
You better
Luckily,
not.
my wife isn't watching. but
Yeah,
yes, I have.
exactly. The funny thing is, it's easy to get it right. Just give her a little ice.
Huh.
Jewelry is always welcome.
Oh, I thought you meant ice.
No actual jewelry.
Oh, okay.
It's always welcome. And at ice.com, you can get fine jewelry at very affordable prices. Diamond earrings, sapphire. You want to see the sapphire bracelet? This is gorgeous.
Yeah,
That's Larry. That's Larry.
Yeah, I
Magid.
don't know why you're looking at me. I mean,
That's not
Gorgeous.
no sapphire bracelet. That's Larry Magid.
oh, there we go.
Here, no, wait a minute. This is it. Here we go. Here's a sapphire bracelet. Look at this. Look at how
Yeah,
nice.
Leo, I want you to give me a MacBook
You're
Air
gonna
for
hand it to
Valentine's.
me. You're going to just
No, because I got a camera. See,
you
look
got
at
a
that.
camera on it.
Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
That's very pretty. Let's see.
This is. Oh, I'm sorry. That's rubies.
Looks
that's
like
the ruby
it could be
bracelet.
red sapphires.
Yep. They can
trust you with
FedEx.
that?
They can FedEx this to you. Actually, we had to sign some sort of thing.
How much is that one worth?
I don't know. It doesn't say, but I
I
can
can
tell you
tell by looking
it's
at
going to be
it.
more affordable at ice.com. It's been trusted jewelry source online since 1999. You can avoid. Hey, John, take it out of your pocket. Where'd it go? See, now John's got his Valentine's Day shopping all done thanks to ice.com.
Yeah, but he's not paying for it.
Yeah, it doesn't count if you don't pay for it. You know what, John? I bet you Mimi would love these beautiful diamond earrings.
She'd actually like this.
Would she like the rubies? It's pretty, isn't it? Isn't that gorgeous? I love rubies. I gave my wife rubies after she had her first baby. It was to signify the blood that had been spilled.
Looks more like sapphires to me. You sure it's rubies? I thought it was sapphire. It looks like sapphire.
Yeah, you should see what's behind you. The expression.
I can see.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it went,
to
that's about
comment
how
on
well it went over too. Let me tell you. So no, I think that's rubies. Here's a ruby pendant. Look at this. This is just gorgeous. Eileen wanted to model all this. What do you have? What are you wearing, Eileen? I'm wearing the ring. Okay, let me see the ring. Let me see the ring. This is a beautiful black and white diamond ring. You don't see
Gorgeous.
that. That's the diamond and the onyx. Ice.com. You can avoid the malls, get better value. Truthfully, better value, better quality jewelry purchases since 1999. And here's a special opportunity for TWiT listeners only or viewers. They're giving you $25 to spend. No minimum purchase required. Anywhere across the site, $25. Go to ice.com/twit. Ice.com/twit. You know, they told me that they did this. They advertised on TWiT a while ago. And they said that TWiT listeners spent more than anybody had ever advertised with before.
That's because none of us actually shop in real stores.
It's exactly right.
Yeah, right,
It's
exactly.
perfect. This is what geeks need.
Right.
Get that Valentine's shopping done. I'll tell you what, don't wait, because I wait till February 13th. There's not. Thank you, Eileen. Eileen Rivera, my producer and our jewelry model. You know, John's disappeared, and I don't know what. Do you know if. Did he take one?
Oh, no, he gave it.
Oh, man. ICE.com. We thank them for their support of This Week in Tech. John has actually wandered off. I don't know. Maybe we bored him. I don't know. He's back. Moving on.
I had to talk to the guy back there, your friend who is doing.
Who are you talking to?
Doing the new TWiT cottage. You should talk about it on the air a little bit.
Oh, you're talking to Roger Ambrose. Well, you've seen the
Roger's back
video. Have you
there,
seen the
and
video?
He is like a genius. This guy.
Yeah. No, he's a guy who did. You're looking at me funny, like you're making that up.
No, he is a genius.
He's fantastic. He's the guy who did the screensaver set. Remember that beautiful screensaver set?
That's the one they gouged
the arches?
him. Yeah, gouged him.
They gouged him?
No, they got he. No,
he didn't gouge anybody. That okay. Tech Live set. Remember that?
Oh, that's the one that got
$1 million.
Yeah.
Screensaver set. Nicer set. Better set. Worked better. $50,000.
You're kidding.
No, so that's why
So
Roger.
there was the guy. It was the other guy that was the gouger.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We were the gougee, but it was Tech Live.
So you're telling me Roger did that other set for $50,000?
Yes. Do you think I would
you're
hire?
not charging enough.
Do you think I would hire the expensive guy? I'm not nuts. No, and it was the best set ever. So he's. You saw the video.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. You did? Did you really see it?
Yeah.
The first walkthrough and stuff. They've already done the
Yeah,
demolition.
you outside. Hi, I'm Leo Laporte.
Yeah, that's what-
Come on, let's go
Let's
in,
go
kids.
in. I was doing my Bob Vila impression. And so that was pre-demolition. We've already
Where
done the
is this
demolition.
building?
2 blocks down. He won't have any trouble. Lots of parking. Lots of free parking. Netflix passes 20 million subscribers and reveals all. That was a great story, MG. We now finally know not only how much bandwidth Netflix uses, but which cable company is the best to use with Netflix.
Yeah, that's great. I love the way Netflix, Reed Hastings has pretty good philosophy for putting information out there. They put a lot of their internal slide decks out on the web, and now they're doing things like this where they're, calling out the best service providers for it.
You got to figure this pissed the hell out of some of these service providers.
Well, it definitely pissed the hell out of Clearwire because they were last there. But, they do bring up the point that, of course, they're wireless only where they're compared to, their wired counterparts, of course.
Yeah, I mean, to say a 4G network doesn't do as well as Comcast isn't telling me much. Number one was Charter Communications, speaking of Tech TV, Paul Allen's old cable company.
Yeah.
Number two was, I can't quite read it, but it looks like Cox did pretty well. Everybody likes Cox.
Yeah, the cable modem showed that they had they what?
Nothing.
The cable modem company showed that they had the chops.
I just like saying that.
Yeah, apparently.
In
fact, I upgraded to cable when I got Netflix. I got the Roku because it gives you enough headroom to watch Netflix and TWiT and about 90 other things at the same time. In fact, TWiT's on the Roku as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Watch you on my big television set.
We're right next to
You look good at
Netflix.
55 inches, Leo.
Yeah.
What?
John, not so much, but you look great in 55 inches. Now, John, you look okay.
We're designed for the big screen.
That's right.
I think this was probably a little bit having to do with the net neutrality debate, right? I mean, what was interesting is the best. This kind of blew me away. The best two were Canadian cable companies, Rogers.
They've always had high speeds. But everybody in Canada complains bitterly about them.
Yeah. Well, and they
It's
do
that socialized medicine. It works on broadband as well.
It may, in fact, they do bandwidth shaping. They admit it. They don't hide it. And it may, in fact, be that's ironically why they did so well, because they were doing bandwidth shaping and making sure Netflix got enough bandwidth to do the job. Rogers peaked out at 3 megabits pretty consistently. Now, so that was part of the test. Was you have to deliver the high. This surprised me. The highest quality Netflix stream was almost 5 megabits for HD, wasn't it? It was something like that.
Yeah.
And 3 megabits was the best sustained throughput anybody did, and that was Rogers.
Well, actually, we probably have speeds that beat that up at the house in Port Angeles.
Of course, you have something weird though. You have some sort of strange
We have
connection.
the county's fiber. We have legally
into
tapped into it, and with the new router, we're getting 180 megabits per second.
Wow.
With just straight up.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
You okay?
Jeez, my mind froze.
That's the word. Now we know. It's you say 180, and then next thing you know,
Oh, I know.
Leo
Well, no,
freaks.
the issue I was trying to remember what the bandwidth caps are on Rogers, because I think you can get 3 megabits sustained, but you can only watch for 2 hours. No, I'm sure but I think it's like 25 gigabytes. Chat room, is there a bandwidth cap on Rogers? 60 gigabytes.
That's a lot.
But that's the issue, right? You can get 250 on Comcast, It wouldn't be too hard to blow through. If you watched a movie a night at 3 megabits, wouldn't be too hard to blow through 60 gigabytes. And then they throttle you. Rocklaw says he's got 125 gigs a month, but I think there's different plans, I guess. 60 gigs is 2 gigs a night. That's about one movie. Something like that. Shaw, the cap is 135. So they have more caps there. Anything else to say about that?
No, I think this topic just dropped.
Any other
dead
conclusions? With my brain freeze?
Yeah, that brain freeze thing. It's got everyone concerned. We're all looking at you, worried.
Stroke, a little stroke.
One of the posts they talk about during the live call, I think Netflix didn't dispute the fact that like at peak hours they can take up as much as 20%.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
Total internet traffic.
I thought it was more than that.
Insane. It probably is more than that. And like if that's if they keep doing that, obviously the ISPs are going to get involved and try and do something to make them pay or to make us pay more for that.
So, and that's already been an issue, of course, with them being indirectly asked to pay. Comcast. Right. So and that came up conveniently during the middle of the net neutrality debate.
Since we have all these people here who are into this, what does everybody out there see as the best box? A Roku box or an Apple TV box or a Boxy?
Google TV.
Or the Google TV, which is dead, I believe.
Piece of crap.
And or a computer. You can also do this through through an Xbox 360.
Yeah. You know, Veronica Belmont did a table on Texilla, a kind of user-created table. Not a table, not a coffee table, a spreadsheet of all the different boxes and their capabilities. And there's, there's only one thing that does everything. That's a computer. Everything else, there's holes somewhere, So you kind of have to say, there's no answer, in other words, John. You have to ask, what do you want to watch? If you want to watch iTunes, you have to have Apple TV, If you want to watch, to me, if you watch Netflix and you watch Amazon and you want to watch TWiT, I think the Roku's, there's nothing better than Roku.
I agree with you, Leo. I have a Roku. In fact, I've got
especially
two of them.
At the price.
And they're inexpensive. I've got one in my bedroom, one in my living room. For a while there, I had a Windows PC hooked up to the TV, and it's true, I could watch a lot more, but the aspect ratio was never right. The hassles were just too much.
Yeah.
The Google TV, again, it's not quite ready for prime time. I've got the review box from Logitech. I think that the Roku, for right now, is a good solution.
The interesting one will be, I think, when Xbox 360 is getting ready to add ESPN content, so they'll be the first one with that, right out of the box. That could be huge for millions of people who are going to want that content, of course.
And if you have a console, you already have the ability to watch, in most cases, Netflix and Amazon. So don't go out and buy anything if you've already got an Xbox or a PlayStation 3. I think even the Wii supports video streaming.
If you want to see the Veronica's table, it's bit.ly/settop, SETTOP. And, you just get some idea of how crazy it is. Google TV is the first column, Roku's the second column. And just the capabilities, the things it can do and can't do, the gaps, what kind of video codecs. I can't imagine a consumer ever, well, if they do look at this, just being frozen in, oh my God, what should I do? I mean, it's just not clear. But I have to say, the easiest thing to do is just say, get a Roku box. If you want to watch Apple TV, get an Apple TV.
That was actually in the same Netflix earnings call. They did actually talk about how, there was so much hype that Netflix was going to be on the iPad when it launched and it came out with an app or whatever. And but they said the new Apple TV with Netflix built in has already blown past what the iPad was seeing.
Oh, interesting.
Streaming
hey,
minutes.
Speaking of the iPad, up until last week, I used to watch movies a lot on my iPad.
You were the only one.
I got my 11-inch Mac Air, and I actually prefer watching them on the Mac Air than I do the iPad. Is there anybody else?
Because it stands up naturally.
It stands up. It's got the right. It's got good aspect ratio. I actually like it better. I haven't actually used the iPad since I got the Air.
I'm watching a movie. My arms are killing me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. See, here,
I like the MacBook Air a lot. I think it's kind of, to me, that's the best computer, really. It's just, fantastic.
Here I go. I'm watching one now, yeah.
Are you watching one now?
Do you have the 11? You have the 11?
Yeah, I like the 11-inch.
Yeah, I got both. This is the 11.
Shut up.
And I'm going to buy the... No, it's a loaner. Apple let me borrow it. So
they
I
did?
can compare the two. Yeah.
Apple let you borrow it?
John, maybe if you... they would let you borrow it. Just to try it. See, here's the 13, if you got a shot of that.
All right, well, hold
You
on.
got
sir.
two of them? You have two MacBook Airs?
Well, yeah, but they're going back. They're on loan. Yeah,
That's
I'm
what you
gonna buy
say.
one, unless Leo gives me one.
Oh, that'll be the day.
I'm not giving away Airs to anybody. Stop it.
That's right. So I got to buy one.
You can afford it, Larry, with your salary.
What I'm
Don't
getting
you
paid to
live
show
in
them off.
Hillsboro or something in a big
Palo
mansion?
Alto. Come on.
Palo Alto. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's pretty expensive.
I don't live in Steve Jobs' neighborhood. Little further south of that.
I still use a Zenith Super Sport.
Oh, shut up. Is it really? Do you? Here's
That's
the
what it
Netflix
is.
graph.
I'm
It's kind of
stealing
hard
material.
to extract. No, always steal material. That's what the chat room's for. It's kind of hard to extract this information.
That's pretty different.
But Clearwire's that red line at the bottom, able to sustain about 1.4 megabits. You know what? For 3G or 4G, that ain't bad. I'll take it.
Not bad.
Interestingly enough, Netflix admitted to using about a gigabyte an hour. So that's
What speed do you absolutely have to have minimum to make the Netflix work?
well. What it's smart. It steps down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Sam.
their quality will go down, but I think a megabit and a half should be more than enough to watch HD material.
I have more than 20 megabits through Comcast, and it still steps down sometimes. I'm not quite
that's
sure
the
why. I'll
point.
be
That's
watching
the
a
point.
movie.
That's the point they're
Doesn't make
making
sense.
is that
Yeah.
when they say 20 megabits, it's not sustained. This has to be sustained.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's what you're really looking at. And you see some of these like Clearwire up and down and up and down and up and down. They can't sustain it. So what you're looking for is something that's got it fairly consistent. I'd say if you had 2 megabytes consistently, as this is Verizon in the middle there, that would be more than adequate, I think, for high-def content. What also was an interesting revelation is that Netflix will use quite a bit more if it's available. It's just that nobody makes it available.
No, that's the good thing about having your own fiber.
So do you stream Netflix movies?
Up at the house in the Port Angeles, we dropped cable completely.
You shouldn't need it.
And they would just watch stuff on Netflix, and then they also buy programming occasionally for some shows that they want to watch.
Wall Street Journal says Hulu has decided, or is at least thinking of, changing what they do. I'm sure MG, you seem like a Hulu user.
You know, I do every once in a while, but not that often, mostly because it hasn't been really available on any of the set-top boxes. Of course,
Right.
It's coming out now with the Hulu Plus stuff, but it sounds like from that article that they're totally trying to pivot what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're going to become the, a cable provider, but just online version, and you'll pay a monthly fee. Because it's really interesting that, when Hulu first launched, everyone was talking about how it was either going to be an iTunes killer or a YouTube killer, but now it's something totally different, that Netflix is their main competition. And at the time, Netflix was just doing, DVDs by mail, so no one saw that coming.
Right.
But now that's their main competition, so they totally have to change their structure. And they're getting so much pushback from the networks who own, big chunks of the thing, and they're still giving their content to iTunes and to Netflix. So it's like there's really a lot going on there.
What now remember Hulu is first a company and then they use content from NBC. I'm sorry, Cable Co with a K. Cabletown with a K. Walt Disney, News Corp. But Walt Disney, NBC, and News Corp seem to want to do something different than the owners of Hulu want to do. And of course,
Right. I think Disney, Disney, which owns ABC, is even they were talking about they've developed their own thing, and then of course Disney's largest shareholder is Steve Jobs, so of course they want to work with iTunes on that stuff. But the only one not doing anything with them has been CBS, and they've stood on the sidelines, and it seems like maybe that was the right play now, considering how tumultuous.
It just
Doesn't
seems like
NBC own a chunk of Hulu? I thought they owned like 30%.
well, they all are partner in order to get the content, guys. They're partners, but that's the
Right.
problem is that there's no controlling partner, so there's this battle going on. But if Hulu turns into a cable channel, they've lost me. I pay for Hulu Plus right now, and it's really marginal.
What are you paying? What a month? What is it?
I think it was $10 a month, and I think it's now $8 a
Yeah,
month.
that's
Yeah, I tried it out for a couple of weeks, and I just wasn't that impressed. And I'm paying for Netflix happily. I have the $8 program. I don't even bother with DVDs anymore. And,
By the way, that's another thing Roku does. It does Hulu Plus as well.
Oh, okay.
It does.
Yeah, so that's a pretty.
Just start.
I think that's a pretty compelling combination, actually. You get Amazon, so I can buy and rent movies. Everything that's on iTunes is on Amazon, pretty much.
And it stays in your locker. You can access
keep
it forever.
Yeah, which I really
don't.
like.
I mean, it's in the cloud, so you can't watch it on airplanes. But if you get to a hotel room, you can watch it or wherever you happen to be.
Right. If they do, who wants Hulu? Who
Where
wants
did these
another
guys
cable
come
channel?
from?
An internet
Where'd the
cable
Roku
channel?
guys show up? I mean, they showed up and took over the place. There's been a bunch of other guys that have tried to do this. They do it all wrong. They make a mistake.
I'll tell you what they did right. These guys, Roku originally made a slim. It was called a Slim Player, right? Something like that. It was a streaming music box that was actually very cool, but only geeks would really care about it. It was a way of getting the music on your computer over to your stereo system via Wi-Fi. And I think the thing they did right is they said, we need to make a simple box. Here's the premise. I got to connect my TV to the internet. Everybody's doing complicated stuff. We need to make a simple box. It's got to be under $100, $99.99 as it turned out.
That's for the high-end one, though. They have them $50.
Well, no, but initially it was $99. Okay. They only had one. Now they've branched out. It's got to be able to hook up to the TV, hook up to the internet, and it's got to be dead simple to use. And I think
it is idiot-proof. It takes seconds to hook up. I mean, you put the HDMI cable in there, you tell it your Wi-Fi security code, and you're done. That's essentially all there is to it.
Okay, well, compare that.
And they got Netflix. Because without Netflix, you're nothing.
Netflix.
Right.
Now compare that to the Boxy box.
Piece of crap.
Well, what did Boxy do wrong?
Actually,
they
I
were
shouldn't say
early
that.
on in the game.
I love the Boxy software. I think the Boxy software on a PC is better than the Boxy box. But Boxy's having all of these boxes are like the Google box. The reason they're having trouble is the networks are blocking them. What good is it if you can't watch TV on it? You
can surf the web on a Google TV if you really want to.
But as soon as you get to abc.com,
right, you can't get there.
You can't get there. As soon as you go to nbc.com, the content's gone.
That's why I keep a laptop in my living room. If I really want to go online while I'm watching TV, I usually have a laptop handy.
So do you feel, have we answered your question, John? Do you feel
I just want people out there to know what to buy.
It sucks right now, basically. But whatever you do. I have them all. My poor wife. I'm leaving. I had to write her a manual.
Where are you going?
Oh, you keep wanting me to talk about this.
Just asking.
I will tell you. I'll tell you in a second. But let me finish this thought. So I'm leaving. I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah. And, well, thank God for people like Tom Merritt.
Oh, Merritt will carry it.
And everybody. Well, because we got good people in here who can do a great job. He'll be doing TWiT next week. But my wife said, don't leave without telling me how to use a TV because she can't watch TV.
Well,
so I had to write a manual.
You had to write a manual for your own house.
You know why?
I have one.
Yeah, of course you do, Larry, because there's 7
I have stickers on the different boxes. For example, if you want to watch a DVD, you've got to watch it through the PlayStation, but you have to turn on the audio system and set that. And my daughter came in one time a couple of years and says, Daddy, all I want to do is watch television. Oh, no, sonny, you've got to take this course first.
No, you can't just watch television.
It's impossible.
That's the problem. So, there's 7 HDMI inputs on this TV, and they're all occupied. Boxy Box, Google TV, Apple TV, Roku Box, Xbox 360, DVD player, and cable box.
I think an HDMI switcher would probably be what you needed.
No, that makes it worse because there's another button you have to push. At least all 7 are connected.
Yeah.
How often do you watch DVDs, Leo?
I watched one last night.
I hardly ever watch them anymore.
Well, I watch a lot more Netflix streaming.
To me.
I watch a lot more Netflix streaming, but every once in a while Netflix has a movie that I really want to watch that you can't. Well, I watched Nowhere Boy yesterday. Boy, was that a piece of crap.
Why did you watch it then if it's a piece of crap?
Well, I didn't know. It seemed like a good idea. The idea
Can't you figure it out within the first 5 minutes of the
premise,
movie?
I did, and that's the problem. Is I thought maybe it'll get better. The premise was it's John.
Never gets better.
Listen to this. The trailer was good. John Lennon's growing up. The youth of John Lennon as he's growing up. He meets Paul McCartney. I mean, that's a great premise for a movie.
Is it?
Yeah, it was a terrible movie.
My favorite thing on the Netflix.
You know how it's a bad movie when it comes on and says funded by the UK Council, and then underneath it says distributing lottery funds for television production, and that's when I knew this isn't going to be good.
Huh.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Larry.
No, I'm watching a lot of old television shows. We got into Monk. Ever watch Monk?
Monk's a great show. Yeah,
it's
still
great.
on the air.
How many seasons there are? We're into season 2 right now, and I never would have discovered that. I mean, if it hadn't been free on Netflix with my Roku, I never would have known it existed.
I'm watching
Try to keep up.
I'm watching a crappy British show called Doc Martin.
Oh, Doc Martin's not crappy. It's one of the best shows on television.
Never would have heard of it.
Oh, it's a terrific show.
But it's streaming on Netflix. It's great.
I think the new season starts in a few weeks.
So you're a Doc Martin fan?
Yeah.
It's not about shoes, by the way.
No.
It's about a misanthropic.
Just a grouchy
misanthropic.
Perfect for me to watch.
Like
I get a lot of material from this show.
He's a doctor. But this is it. He's like a really good doctor. He's like House. He's
Just
like
like me, yeah.
brilliant diagnostician. but he has the worst bedside manner. He's so mean and rude. And it's a great premise for a movie. And he's up in...
That's well written.
Actually, you know what? The King's Speech was funded by the UK Film Council.
No, you go.
And
Somebody
lottery
just called
winnings.
you out.
Yeah, so I take it back. And that's a good movie.
That's considered
Brilliant.
the best by all the experts.
Brilliant movie. Okay.
If you want to watch something good, by the way, talking about television, try to catch up. And unfortunately, they just ran the retrospective on the first 3 episodes. Is a show on Showtime called Episodes.
Yes. Is that good? I've seen it.
It's hilarious.
It confuses the hell out of me because I'll go to my cable box and
Yeah,
it'll
you
say
can't-
episode 1. And I think, what is he? What? Is that a typo?
It's impossible to find it because of the name. You Google Episodes, you never find it.
That's a terrible name. What's it about?
It's actually about these 2 British writers who have this hot show.
Yeah.
They go to Hollywood and they run into the bunch of lying, typical Hollywood creeps, sleazeballs, and douchebags, and it's hilarious.
Oh, I gotta watch that. I saw the first episode, episode 1. Of
Episode
episodes.
1 is available online.
Yeah.
Episode 4, 3 and 4 tonight, so you might want to.
Oh, it just started. Very exciting.
So you interrupted me interrupting you, which was you were talking about someplace you're going.
I'm going to
for
be
3 weeks.
It's funny because I'm not supposed to talk about this, by the way.
What?
Because they think it scares the advertisers if I say I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks.
Why? The advertisers would probably do well with you gone for 3 weeks because you got. No, I'll tell you why.
Yeah, you better think fast.
I'm going to save it.
Think fast, John C.
It's because Merritt and everybody else who works here knows how great you are at selling stuff that they will overdo it, and they're going to actually bonus the advertisers.
Actually, it's actually true. They do. You know, we've looked. Well, it's not that they're concerned the ads will be bad. They're concerned that the audience won't listen. But we've looked at downloads, and people love Tom.
Tom is great.
The ratings go up when he's on. So it's absolutely not.
Probably not on this show so much, but maybe.
Well, it's hard for this show to have better ratings than it already has.
Yeah, Tom is.
Everybody in the world already listens to this
I'm actually
show.
surprised that Tom works as hard as he does.
Okay, let me think about that. Why are you surprised?
Why is every question I have some sort of a conundrum to you?
John's giving me a stroke. I don't know what's going on. I can't actually think
if you don't
with
want
you
to
in the
talk
room.
about where you're going.
I am going on a 3-week trip to Patagonia.
What?
Patagonia.
Isn't that a bar in the south part of San Francisco?
I think it's a catalog. That's what they call this region. So I'm flying to Tuesday. I'm flying to Buenos Aires.
Oh,
I'm going to eat steak galore.
Oh, they have great meat and
great meat.
Great meat.
Great meat. And I've heard excellent dulce de leche ice cream.
That wouldn't surprise me.
In fact, there apparently is some sort of competition in Buenos Aires for the best dulce de leche, and I would like to be a judge. I'm going down there. I'll tell you. And then, I get on a couple of days in Buenos Aires because I just wanted to wander around.
Everybody loves Buenos Aires.
It's supposed to be the
Paris of the 50s.
Right. And by the way, apparently a lot of Italian speakers as well as Spanish speakers.
Oh, there's the Italians in Brazil and Argentina, tons of them. In fact, some of the best for your foodies out there, some of the best faux Parmesan cheese is actually made in Argentina.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to ask for some faux Parmesan.
Well, they call it Parmesan. So.
Parmesan Argentina. And then I'm going to get on a boat, and that boat is going to go down to the Falkland Islands, where I am going to declare the sovereignty of the Argentinian people and start another war. And no, actually, I'm going to go see the penguin rookeries, which I'm very excited about.
In the Falklands?
In the Falklands.
Okay.
I might buy some wool.
Take pictures.
Of course I'm going to take pictures. And then we sail through the Tierra del Fuego to Ushuaia, Argentina, and then the fjords and the Beagle Channel.
Yeah, okay. Let's get to
Punta
the end
Arenas.
point,
And then at Punta Arenas, I'm going to take a plane to Antarctica.
Why?
Walk around. See if there's anything
They just
there.
drop you off in a parachute?
See what's
Is there a
happening.
place to land there?
Yeah, we're going to Fry Base, which is the Chilean Air Force's base in Antarctica. And we'll wander around, take more
Do
pictures.
you need a special visa to go there?
I think so. There's all sorts of stuff. I'm going to declare it Leo Land.
So you're going to go to Antarctica?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my 7th continent, by the way. Have you been to all 7 continents?
No. I have not been to Antarctica.
Me neither. That's why. It was my goal to hit 7 before 70.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you made it.
I made it. Barely. And then from there, we go through Cape Horn, by the way. Well, I noticed you're wearing your Cape Horn jacket.
Yes.
There's very rough seas there.
I heard that.
Yes.
I've seen Cape Horn, I believe.
Yeah.
Or it's Cape of Good Hope, one of the two.
One of them. I'm going to go up and around and then up the side there. Chile. Going to stop in Chile. The cruise ends in Santiago. Then I'm going to take a plane from Santiago to Cusco. Actually, first to Lima, then I think a plane or a train.
Lima's fun.
Is it?
Lima's a great town. Oh, I love
I'm
Lima.
looking forward to
well,
Lima.
Yeah, just walk
You're
around.
gonna go up in the
It's a beautiful
mountains?
town.
Yeah, I'm going to
Great
Machu
town.
Picchu.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, no matter what they tell you, chew the coca leaves.
Oh, I'm going to chew the coca leaves. I'm going to drink the coca tea. Somebody sent me an email saying
and also
though,
there's a pill you should take, which
they
is
said
high altitude
you
pill.
can't. Yeah, I have that pill.
Okay.
I got that pill. I went to my doctor. I said, "Give me the pill." He said, "Okay." 4 hours later, I was back in the hospital. No, it's a diuretic. He said the problem is that the high altitudes, your brain swells.
Yeah.
And so you get a brain edema or whatever. And
Well, it makes you get terrible headaches if you're not
terrible
used to it.
headaches. So they give you a diuretic, and that makes you
Coca tea, they have it all over the place.
You get to the hotel.
They have it at the airport.
I'm staying at the Monasterio,
Okay.
which is right there in Machu Picchu. But when you get there, they give you the coca tea. But then somebody sent me an email saying, whatever you do, don't bring the coca tea back, because they'll not only will they confiscate it, but then it's on your record.
Yeah, well, don't bring the coca tea back, but you'll find the old timers up there that chew the leaves. They have big bags of them.
Those are the ones that their teeth are all blackened. And
Well, you chew on the leaf. It's like chewing chaw tobacco. You chew and chew and chew, and you shove it in between your whatever. And the funny thing is, you will be. There's no buzz involved, which is a myth.
what?
Yes.
Well, what's the point?
There's no buzz involved. The point
It's
is
not like cocaine. It's what they make cocaine out of, though, right?
cocaine is derived from it, yes, but there's all kinds of other things in there. Who knows what it does? But the fact of the matter is, what it gives you is stamina, which you're going to need. Because you'll see that you'll see all these young people that refuse to chew the coca leaves.
No.
And you'll just zoom right by them.
Yeah, with my swollen head.
No, I'm not telling you. It's unbelievable.
Like this. I can't move. My head's so swollen. Anyway, so I'm at Machu Picchu, which is the Inca ruins, and then home again. It's going to be fun. I will post pictures. I'm going to, do the whole thing. The whole social media thing. Although bandwidth is very expensive on a boat.
You gonna tweet?
Well,
I will try to tweet. I will try to
Start a
tweet.
revolution.
I could try to
knows?
tweet
just take
revolution.
photos and show them later. Who cares? What's the point of showing everything immediately?
Well, that's one of the things. You know what? I really realized, 'cause I don't use the iPhone day in, day out. I know you do, MG, because I can see everything you eat.
Yes, that's very true.
He Instagrams every damn thing he eats.
And every beer I drink.
And a lot of beer.
Yeah.
A lot of beer.
So,
someday I too will go to Cafe Biron. But
Hotel Biron.
Hotel
yeah,
Biron.
Right. It's the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
You
a
use
great
places on there. Use Facebook places. Tell everybody where you are all the time.
MG has already Instagrammed this show.
place. I just did.
He's really out of control here. Look at this. He's already Instagrammed the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
Natural.
Why not? That's what I say. Why not? So let me make it fat, and then so I will. But see, this is what I realized when I started using the iPhone, is it's kind of cool because there's all these photo apps in here, and it's instant. It's like a decent, not a great, but a decent camera with a lot of software. Like, look at this. This is an 8mm movie. It's called 8mm recorder, and it makes what looks like old movies. If you touch this button, the gate jumps. Let's see, see that, and then you could choose different frames, different styles, and it puts a lot of dirt on the movie. So I'm going to take a picture of me in Antarctica as if I'm like Peary discovering the pole. That'd be cool.
So you're really a bored person. Most of
I got nothing going on. I got nothing here. All right, let's take a break because I'm tired.
Tired.
I just want to take a break now. No, I want to talk a little bit about GoToMeeting, if you don't mind. And then
I'm
we'll
going to go away
continue
for a
on.
minute.
Yeah, you can go away, and anybody wants to take a break. But when we come back, I'm going to tell you why it is the end times. And it has to do with Kim Kardashian.
I think you nailed it.
It is the end times. So first, I want to talk a little bit about our friends at Citrix who do that great GoToMeeting program you've heard me talk so often about. We don't do conference calls here at the TWiT Cottage anymore. We do GoToMeetings. I think everybody these days is working with people around the country, maybe around the world, a developer in New Mexico or an agency in New York or a project manager in London, some development group in Bangalore. And those conference calls, obviously in-person meetings are just not affordable, not economical. And so you do a lot of conference calls, but those conference calls aren't that great either because people lose their attention. They wander off. This is exactly what's just happened. So that's right. Go to meeting. It galvanizes them. It grabs them. It keeps their attention. You can set up your online meetings in advance or start them on the fly. Everyone in the meeting just logs on to gotomeeting.com. Even, and this is important, if they don't have the software. So they don't have to already be set up. You just send them a link, and it's already there. They're already going. Gotomeeting.com. In fact, you can get going right now. Go to GoToMeeting. I'm going to type it in here. GoToMeeting.com/twit. That's a special URL. It'll get you set up for 30 days absolutely free, so you can really get a sense of what GoToMeeting can do for you. Did I do it wrong? GoToMeeting.com. Oh, there you go. I typed it wrong. GoToMeeting is $49, normally $49 a month, but you can get it free for the first 30 days. And that will include, by the way, free voice over IP and free teleconferencing. Let me put it up here. GoToMeeting.com/twit. 30 days free. Give it a try. I know you're going to like it. Do more and travel less with GoToMeeting.com. We are talking about the end times. MG Siegler is here from TechCrunch. It's great to have you, MG. Do you have a beer in front of you right now?
I don't, just water.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Later.
Unplug your headset and plug it in again. You're getting that weird Cylon effect.
I do that.
We find it happens exactly 1 hour into the show. I don't know what that is. I think it's a memory problem with the.
How's it going now?
All better. All better. Good. Also with us, Larry Magid, who has his professional radio equipment and a beer.
I do. It's a real microphone.
Yeah, so he sounds good from Larry'sWorld.com. John C. Dvorak, and I'm Leo Laporte. I think it's the end times, and I'll tell you why. If you look at Twitter rankings, number 1, Lady Gaga with 7.9 million followers. Okay. Justin Bieber, Britney Spears, then the President of the United States. But what's really scaring, Kim Kardashian coming on strong. Kim and Ashton Kutcher. We'll, in some time, I think that we should have a clock watching this. At some time in the next week, based on the graphs, based on growth, both Kim Kardashian and Ashton Kutcher will have more Twitter followers than the President of the United States. John C. Dvorak, what do you think? For a good reason?
Yeah. It's just a bunch of bull crap. That's the reason. Who cares?
For once, I agree with John.
You really don't want to read the president's tweets anyway. Come on.
Oh, they're just
generic.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think.
Is he really tweeting? Does he even know what it is?
I taught. In fact, if you watch tomorrow morning, around 9 a.m. on your local ABC affiliate, you will see me teach Regis Philbin how to tweet.
Are you going to be in New York? You taking off?
I did it last week. We pre-taped it.
Wait a minute. You're telling me you're not going to be on live on Regis and Kathy live? You're not going to be live?
Well, first of all, Kelly hasn't. It's Kelly. Kathy hasn't been there for years.
But it's live, isn't it?
It was live when I did it. It was live, but now it's not.
No, I'm disappointed.
No, I did the show live a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I did the show live.
Well, of course you did it live.
I did a full live show that was live on the air. I showed gadgets, and then they said, "Come upstairs to Regis's office."
Oh.
That's when you know you're in the inner circle.
It's a package. What's the office like?
Oh, he's big. He's big into the Notre Dame football.
Really?
Are you a Packers or a Steelers kind of a guy?
I'd go for the Packers because we have our local boy, Aaron Rodgers, is the quarterback from the University of California.
Yeah.
So I mean, come on.
All right. So I'm gonna root for the Packers too. MG Packers.
Yeah, probably Packers because I'm from Cleveland and hate the Steelers. So.
The rivalry.
Everyone has a reason.
No, but yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised with which teams wins. Neither one would surprise me. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger is an amazing character, and he's going to be hard to beat. But I think these games are rigged.
What?
And I think the nation is rigged this game so they can have a team that has the color green.
Oh.
For the purposes of making everybody aware of the word green. You see the NBC logo is green. Everything's green. There's a lot of
everything's green now.
So I think they're not going to let black win.
Hey, Cabletown.
I want to follow up because I accidentally agreed with John when he said that the president was a bunch of bullcrap. And I actually do agree that the president is overexposed on the internet because I get email from him. I'm always bragging, I got an email from Barack
I get
Obama.
Text messages from him.
Everybody gets.
Yeah, you do.
But the fact is that I do think it's interesting. It's not bullcrap, but it's a bit much these days, and I'm getting, a little inundated with it.
Well, it's funny because, of course, Obama really, I think, partly got elected because of his ability to galvanize support on the internet and get more donations than any candidate in history, almost twice what That other guy, he was your candidate? I can't remember his name. The old
He was
guy.
about John's age, I think.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
McCain.
McCain? You sure?
You know, John,
I thought
actually,
it was
I
Humphrey.
have to give you credit because I think it was 2009 or no, I'm sorry, that wouldn't have worked. It was 2007 that you said McCain was going to be the Republican candidate, and I thought you were nuts.
Oh, that's right. You made a big stink about saying I was nuts.
Yeah, and you were absolutely right. You picked it.
I
I would
also
have thought he
picked
was nuts
Obama.
in the
Did you?
Yeah.
6 months before the election.
And I also picked Sarah Palin, to be honest about it.
No, you did not.
No, I'll tell you what it was. It was I had run into Sarah Palin about a year earlier. And she was in Alaska Magazine or something. And I was looking at her, her bio and her background and everything. I never heard her speak. If I had heard her speak, it would have been a different story because I think I can't stand listening to her
The
speak.
accent's a little much. Yeah, the accent's a little much.
And as soon as I saw it, I said, holy crap, this woman's got so many creds. Why don't they run her for vice president?
Interesting.
And I actually pointed this out, and then the next thing you know, she got it.
Wow.
So you're to blame, John.
No, I'm not
It's all
to
your
blame.
fault.
I just said I called it. I saw it coming. But I think it's the same thing that happened to the campaign. They looked at her creds. She looks good on paper. She's pretty, but they never listened to her speak. I mean, her voice is grating.
In any event, what I was saying was that Obama was
Sorry,
very
everybody.
good at using the internet during the election, and there were, I think, there's legitimate complaints that it has not been as good at galvanizing people through the internet since.
Well,
and yet you're getting a lot of messages from
I
them
go
there.
back to Joe Trippi and Howard Dean. I think that's
Dean seemed to know what he was
that's
doing.
when it was established that you could
Yeah.
really do a lot of work with the internet.
Dean raised a lot of money on the internet, did very
But
well.
I think there's such a thing as overexposure, as putting out too much on the internet to the point where you just start ignoring it. I think I'd appreciate Obama more if I got one message a week from him rather than several a day.
You know, there might be something to said. Ted Koppel called it the Vanna White effect. Ted Koppel said, nobody knows my politics, so they project upon me, just as they project upon Vanna White a personality. They project upon me my politics, and people tend to like you better if they don't know much about you because they project upon you something that they like. They project likable characteristics on you.
Especially if you're vague.
So, in fact, it could very well be that it's a mistake to be too public. And after all, I think the president, probably good if the president kind of retreated to the Oval Office and didn't, we would just presume that he was thinking deep thoughts.
Well, I think we need to
I
hear
agree
from
with
him
that
occasionally.
100%.
But in maybe a more controlled way. I
think
don't
he did a great
want
job
to be
in
advocating
escaping.
this. I don't think that that's a good thing to do. But I mean, in general, I think it's good to be public and open. And but maybe it's maybe it's this particular president.
Maybe
I think all the
Mubarak should hire
presidents
you
from
as his
now
PR
on are
guy.
going to do
You can
this.
Tell him how to operate.
Yeah, you think everybody from now on will tweet and
Yeah.
well, I remember they made a big deal of Jimmy Carter sent the first email, and then
The first president, you mean? To
first,
send the first
yeah, he didn't send the first email. He was the first president to use email. Or actually, I don't think he even used it. He sent an email.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I bet maybe George Bush was. I don't know who was the first.
George Bush didn't like
He didn't do anything.
nobody. None of these guys.
Clinton actually was not that tech savvy, but of course he had Al Gore working for him, who invented the internet, so he didn't have to be.
Right.
And Gore actually was very tech savvy. Still is a very tech savvy guy.
Here's one for you, MG, and I'm really curious if this is the case. Nokia, who is obviously struggling a little bit these days in the cell phone market, has said many, many times, no, we like Symbian, we like our operating system, we're not going to use Android. But the new CEO, Stephen Elop,
From Microsoft.
Microsoft, said that they're going to announce a major smartphone strategy shift in February 11th. And here is the quote. Nokia must compete on an ecosystem-to-ecosystem basis. In addition to great devices, we must build, catalyze, and or join a competitive ecosystem. MG, you think this means Android for Nokia?
Well, it is really interesting. They have stuck with the company line for all this time, that they were going to build, just wanted to do their own systems. They wanted to control both the hardware and the software. They're working on this Migo stuff, and they're doing all this other kind of stuff. But that does definitely leave the door open. But I think, I think that was a Business Insider article that suggested it would be Android, because that's kind of the logical step for it, because, of course, it's open source. They could use it for free.
Right.
And more importantly, they can manipulate it the way they want. But it's still, I wouldn't rule out them going with Windows Phone. Of course,
Since he's
Stephen
from
Elop
Microsoft. Yeah.
he has still a good relationship with them. Of course, that's been talked a little bit about, and the fact that Windows Phone is not doing that great. You know, the hardware itself gets a lot of praise in the software, but it's still not selling great. They need to do something to shake up the market, and a partnership with Nokia would be huge, obviously.
You know, it's all about an ecosystem, and that's why Android is useful. That's why iPhone is useful. If Nokia could help create that ecosystem, especially in the developing world where it's got such a strong base, then it almost doesn't matter what it chooses. But it's better to choose something that's out there already. I would vote for Android, but maybe Windows 7 would be an adequate choice as well.
Yeah, but will Elop really? That would be like spitting in Microsoft's face if they do that. I mean, that's the Android came along and killed Windows Mobile. So I mean, this would be Elop. Just, you know.
Actually, if you go to MarketWatch, I wrote a column about this last Friday, exact issue, and I concluded that because he came from Microsoft, he knows that if he picks Android, it would probably be the death knell for the Microsoft Windows Phone 7. So he has to pick them both, because Nokia can do this, and they can bring out both phones, and they'll just bring out a limited version of the Microsoft phones. If they take off, then fine. If they don't take off, he can say, hey, I tried, and he can drop them later. But there's no way they're going to ignore the Android operating system because of the apps. And if they can't throw all their eggs into the Microsoft basket, it's not possible. So they have to pick both. They can't pick one because they'll lose out if they pick Microsoft. And if they pick Android, then they'll sink Microsoft, and he can't do that. He's not that kind of a person. So I think should be both.
But, you know, they could do something temporarily. It seems like they're still, are obviously pouring resources into what they actually want to do. But it's, at least a year out, maybe a couple of years out. So maybe they do something temporarily, and maybe they see if they can help float Windows Phone, for a while. Since it is, it gotten a lot of praise. It's just they've come so late to the game that they just don't have the hardware.
Exactly, it's coming so late, too little, too late. It's really kind of pathetic because everybody likes it.
I like it.
Yeah, everybody likes it.
So, MG, what about the fact that Nokia is so strong in the developing world? I mean, does that say anything about their strategy that the people, most of the people who buy their handsets are not going to spend $200 for a handset?
Yeah, that's very true. I think that for sure they still use Symbian in their so-called dumb phones, the non-smartphone variety, the feature phones. But even that's declining just because overall the entire market is shifting towards these smartphones, and soon there will be really, really cheap Android phones that can also take off in the developing world. Maybe that's a year out, maybe that's 2 years out, but eventually those will be able to compete in price with the feature phones that we see now.
Right, and that's why I think Android would be the best choice for them. I think that's what they can get into India, Africa, and the other areas where I think their enormous installed base and growth potential is really terrific for smartphones if they're cheap enough.
It totally makes a lot of sense that they should go with Android. The question is just, would Elop do that to Microsoft? I mean, that would totally be screwing them.
But let me quote John on this. First of all, John, congratulations on the correct use of the word abnegation in a sentence. Did you think twice about putting that in there?
I throw abnegation in every once in a while. It's like a word I use. It's a twice-a-year word. Yeah. You get criticized.
He says that if Elop picks Android, it will signal an insider's abnegation of the Windows Phone 7 platform, sending thousands of MarketWatch readers to the dictionary. Finally, he says...
I think MarketWatch readers understand that.
No, yeah, I'm sure they do. It's obvious from the context that it means that he will love Windows Phone 7. No, he also says that I don't think Elop will have the guts to do that to his old company, which is interesting.
No, they use guts because the word I actually submitted was gonads.
Really?
Yeah, that's funny. They edited that.
He said, "You say I will be stunned if Elop goes for full out for Windows Phone 7. That would tell Nokia shareholders that all they got with him was a Microsoft stooge." That's a very good point. Don't you think a CEO coming from a company like Microsoft, it might even be at great pains to pick Android just because he wants to prove that he's not?
No, I think that's true. But at the same time, I do believe he can't just say. He just can't say, screw you, Microsoft. So
I think Windows Phone 7 does not have a bright future.
I don't think it has a snowball's chance because it's too little, too late, and it doesn't have any buzz. There's zero buzz. And a point I make in this column I also make elsewhere, which is the fact that...
Is buzz that important?
Well, yeah, I think it is. But the other thing is their advertising is actually unselling the product, because what they're saying is, look at all these phones. These people are preoccupied. They love their phones to the point where they don't want
Here's a phone you won't love.
And here's a phone that you won't be like. You don't care. You won't care about this phone. It doesn't make sense. It's the dumbest ads ever. I mean, I think they're cute and funny, but I don't think they sell anything.
Oh, I like the one where he drops the phone in the urinal.
I like that. I also like it
the
when
kid throws the ball.
I like the ball. I like the kid hitting the...
Yeah.
hitting the deck.
Those are funny. I mean, I think those are well done. But Microsoft, for some reason, had a very difficult time finding a clever advertising strategy.
I don't know. Their Bing ads are funny. I like their Bing ads.
Oh, I hate the Bing ads.
Well, I like it when the people sitting there and there are all these things going through their head making fun of Google. I don't use Bing, but I think their ads are funny.
You know,
not effective, apparently.
I think the ads are actually kind of disturbing. It feels like these people are somehow have had a psychotic break, and all of a sudden they're saying just random, word associations.
That's what they're trying to make Google look like.
I understand, but
No,
I don't
you're
think
right.
it's
No,
good
I
to put
agree.
that on the air. I think it's creepy.
I think it's totally creepy. I agree with you 100%.
It's like the redhead that they that killed the pre. Remember her? Do you remember those? MG, you remember those ads?
Yeah. Like she's kind of maybe like a birth child or something.
We can't
like
quite figure out what she
floating,
is.
Slick woman. Yeah.
Oh, that crazy looking woman that looked with the no eyebrows.
She looked like
that
an
one?
alien.
Yeah, that was
Alien,
bad.
right.
What are they thinking?
Well, that's interesting.
I don't know.
I was searching for redhead and pre on Google, and I got redhead pre-lubed loads for your gun.
No, you're getting a
So there you go. Redhead.
But Leo, did you like the,
This is very straight out of the
family
ads.
show, Leo. Come on.
It's right out of the ads. I'm just trying to find the redhead in the ad. If you search for pre and redhead, you get these weird things. So I'm just trying to find the dang ad.
How about the
See,
pictures?
that's
What
the
kind of
point that
pictures
Bing
you
is trying to
get?
make.
Yeah,
That's
is.
what they're trying to say.
You know, she's a
Here
Canadian.
she is.
according
Here she
to
is.
Somebody.
She's a Canadian. Well, that explains the lack of eyebrows. You know, most
What are you saying here? I don't get it.
most Canadians are born without eyebrows. They actually have to paint them in so that people think they're Americans.
About reincarnation. How come you can't remember your past lives? Was her ultimate question.
What is she selling?
This is so creepy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a phone.
Oh.
See, you can see why this just never went anywhere. I mean, that's just a weird ad.
So if you search Bing for pre-redhead, it comes out as the third listing. YouTube creepy palm pre-commercial.
That's it. That's it. Well, there it tells you. I should have been using Bing.
Yeah, they hand put that one in there.
Now,
Probably.
we may see a resurgence of pre, but this is going to be a great month. February is going to be a great month for announcements. HP has got an announcement. We think it might be the new WebOS 2.
You're going to be in Antarctica,
And
freezing your butt
I'll be
off.
freezing my ass off while you guys are having such a great time.
Google's got something coming up this week. They've got a honeycomb announcement later in the week.
Yeah,
They show it
Tuesday.
off.
Every time,
No,
now maybe
Wednesday,
is it just me? Now maybe it's my era or something. But every time I hear Google honeycomb, I want to go honeycomb.
Honeycomb, would you be
Is that
happy?
me?
Jimmy Rogers.
Honeycomb.
That's
Yeah,
me too.
it's not just me.
No, I did.
Yeah, no, it is
It's old
just you,
folks.
Leo, actually.
Jimmy, you know the name. You at least knew it was Jimmy Rogers. So this event is not Google I/O. This is before Google I/O.
Right. It's I think, is it Tuesday, MG?
Did you get the
No,
event,
it's,
MG?
I think it's
Yeah, I
Wednesday.
got it.
Wednesday, February
Wednesday,
2nd.
because I'm going to be in Florida. It's going to be Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going to do in
And it's
Florida there,
also-
Larry?
I'm going to be
It's the
speaking
same
at the
day as,
Florida Educational
as-
Technology Conference. So if you're in Orlando, come see me at the FETC on Wednesday afternoon.
Huh.
You can get in
and not
free
at Disney
because
World.
it's not one of those conferences we have to pay to get in? Or you're,
Oh, you probably do. You
Oh,
probably
well,
have to be
then
a teacher as
unless
well.
you
But
give
if you're a
them
teacher in
passes, they're not
Florida,
coming.
come by.
So tell me what this event will be.
Oh, they're going to be having a presser at 10 o'clock, I believe. Is it Wednesday morning, California time? And presumably they're going to show off the features of Honeycomb, which is not going to be a great surprise. We all know it's coming.
Right.
And I guess we'll get some details.
What is it? I don't know anything about it.
It's 3.0. It's Android
It's the
3.0.
Android. It's the Android tablet
So
operating
what?
system. It's all about tablets.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't play
Do
the song.
you hear it? I'm hearing it again. I don't.
Yeah,
You
it's
got
in the ether.
Every time they say honeycomb,
It's
It was only one of the worst songs ever. It makes no
I think
sense.
It's going to be all about tablets. That's what CES was about, and I think that's going to be Google's big push for 2011 is getting Android on the tablet and getting them out there in the millions.
Right, and this thing is completely redesigned from the ground up. I mean, it doesn't look anything like the other versions of Android. That have
all
been
I've
out
ever seen is the
that's
video that they kept showing.
Will it run on the Nexus 1?
there. No.
No,
Well, then what good is it?
won't run. Now, MG, I've heard that Google denies that it will require dual cores. That was the original kind of rumor.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully they'll talk more
A
about that.
dual
Obviously,
core
what
tablet?
this-
Yeah, well, most of the new tablets are dual-core. They're using the NVIDIA Tegra 2. But, in fact, I'm thinking Apple. What do you think, MG? Apple probably do a dual-core iPad.
Right,
iPad
for the
2.
iPad 2.
And
this
for
is
maybe
actually,
iPhone 5.
This Google event is going up against an Apple event because they're having in the morning, but in New York, they're doing the daily, that News Corp and iPad event.
In the morning?
Yeah,
In the morning.
One another. Yep.
You know what's interesting? I think Jeff Jarvis pointed this out. Originally, the event was going to be Steve Jobs and Rupert Murdoch at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, and Jeff said that's completely appropriate that they would announce a newspaper for the iPad at a museum, and apparently not quite catching that. They're doing it anyway at a museum. Obviously, it won't be Steve Jobs. I don't even know if it's funny. You wouldn't think Rupert Murdoch would outlast Steve Jobs.
Are any of you guys excited at all about that product? Does that do much for anybody?
No. I will probably install it just to take a look at it.
Yeah,
This is we're talking about the Daily, which will be a daily newspaper for the iPad. You know who's excited, Larry? And actually, I thought this was kind of interesting. Somebody was telling me a very well-known reporter who's written for a number of very well-known newspapers.
David Pogue.
No. Is it?
The columnist.
He's always excited. Is very excited. He took the job. One of the 100. They're going to have 100 journalists, and he's very excited having taken the job there at the Daily.
I think it's exciting that there are jobs for journalists.
Who is?
That's why they're excited.
Do you ever think that David Pogue is just a tall Chris Perillo? Do you ever notice?
Yeah, they're very similar.
That's what I always say when I first met Pogue. I said, "This is just a tall Chris Perillo."
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually,
I don't know if Chris plays the piano as well, though.
No, David plays very good piano. Was he at Macworld this year or no?
I didn't see him.
I was there and I didn't see him. But
nobody come. There was no Mac stuff
last year.
there.
He gave the big keynote in Steve Jobs' place. So boy, now you know Macworld's in trouble. First Apple pulls out, then David Pogue pulls out.
Oh,
boy,
yeah.
That's got it. Sinbad as their theme,
They had
right?
Sinbad.
I have no idea what he said.
Now you
Talk
know.
about piracy.
Now you know. Yeah, right. Yo ho, yo ho. So boy, did anybody go to Macworld? MG, you
I
went?
did.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Who?
You.
Me?
Yeah, you went.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it?
It was terrible. I mean, there was nothing there but little what do you call it? Cases and cases and cases and cases.
Oh,
Blue microphone people were there.
Stands there as well.
And by the way, I was distressed by. They said I was asking them about comparing their the blue microphone is the
Yeti.
Yeah, well, they also have these big expensive
the fancy ones. Yeah,
fancy ones. And I asked them how they compare to the PR
40, my Heil mic.
Yeah, the Heil.
Did they laugh?
No, the guy who they sent me the technical superstar, and he didn't know what Heil was.
No, that's not unusual.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, Letterman's got one on his desk.
So I was at Macworld, and you're right, John. It was mostly cases and stands.
A lot of iPad stands. Yeah.
Yeah. Millions of iPad stands and iPhone stands. Give me a break.
Oh, and keyboard. In fact, let's see if I've got it. Hang on a second.
Oh, look, we're going to get a show and tell.
We got a show and tell. But this
you
isn't very good radio. But
I can tell you how you know that the chat room's enjoying the show when they're now already proposing titles for it. Like it's over.
Doom.
Like it's over.
This is a keyboard. You see, I haven't opened yet.
TypePad.
It's a keyboard for the keyboard case. That's clever, right? It's a case and a keyboard combined.
Yeah, I keep seeing people getting all excited about this. If you want a laptop, buy a freaking laptop.
Hey, it's a crappy keyboard. That's the problem. It's not a good keyboard.
But why would you buy an iPad and then spend hundreds more to get a stand and a keyboard?
Right.
So now it's a laptop. You should have bought a laptop.
It makes no sense.
Exactly. In fact, I think that for me, the Mac Air cannibalizes the iPad, but I already said that.
I don't think so.
No. MG, how was Macworld Expo?
But I wouldn't know.
You guys are talking about it. It's funny. I didn't go. I had a pass to go, but some other meetings and stuff took place. But the main reason I didn't go is exactly what you guys are talking about. It's like Apple's not there anymore. I know it's just going to be a bunch of stands, for the iPad and stuff.
It's called Mac World. It should be called iPod World or iPad World.
Well, it's been an iPod accessories show for a long time now.
There's
no
Macs
there.
There's no. I saw like 3 Mac.
That's actually the thing that saddens me the most. In fact, look,
where was Wacom? Where was Adobe?
Right. I love the Macintosh computer. I really do. It's a great computer. And I just think Apple's giving it short shrift. There only 10% of the booths were Mac booths. Apple's now moved to this app store, which is just, basically they're turning the Macintosh into iOS,
And it's ridiculous
sad to me.
because the Macintosh has certain characteristics that nothing else can compete with.
It's Unix.
The video editing there's nothing else you can do like that. What's the name of the video editor again?
Final Cut?
Final Cut
iMovie.
Pro.
Well, the Final Cut in iMovie is the free one.
The truth is, iMovie's pretty darn good.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Hey, I did a column for Huffington Post a couple weeks ago, which most people disagreed with, but I said that the iPad or tablets in general are a threat to our creativity. That having these devices, which so far don't have decent keyboards, don't have software that allows you to be highly creative, except in a few areas, is actually not a good thing for our children. Now, 90% of the comments that I was
children, Larry. Think of the children.
I think about teachers replacing computers in the schools with tablets, and I'm not sure that's a good thing. I'm not sure we want to dumb down our kids to the point where they're just, punching. Yeah, maybe kids will learn to type on glass. That's a
why not? They already replaced education in school with computers. Might as well just finish the job.
The job. I don't know. Most people thought I was full of crap and that I was not looking at the real vision.
I think we're all coming to the same conclusion here.
Actually, I think a MacBook Air is the perfect school computer. The $999 MacBook Air with Google Apps or some sort of cloud system is a great. And we have 3 developers in here from a company called Digication that make a plugin for. There actually was a standalone education app that they're now turning into a plugin for Google Docs. I think that's a very natural place for a school to be.
Get the computers out of the schools.
Yeah, well, sometimes I think reliance on computers is probably a bad thing for pedagogy.
I think
it's an abnegation of pedagogy.
No, I don't want kids already know how to use computers. I want them to know how to program computers. I want them to be, where is the next Steve Wozniak going to come from? And design computers. It's just, I don't want to create a nation that all we can do is consume technology. We've already done that. Nobody can tune up their cars anymore.
Actually, I think.
Good point.
I think that I've thought about this a lot because I talked to Richard Hart about this at CES.
You saw Richard?
I did.
He was at CES?
Yeah.
Why?
You know what he's doing? He's teaching TV production at the Academy of Art in San Francisco. And I said, Richard, that must be really cool to get to work with young people who love and understand technology. He said, "No, you're kidding. They don't know it. They don't know anything.
Yeah,
the kids today, they don't know how to format.
Today's kids.
They don't know what a file system is because they never needed to. It's just part of their, But
right
after he said that, and I kind of gave me that same feeling, Larry, of oh my God, well, who's going to create the next generation of innovation? But there is, and
the Chinese,
and then you go to hacker spaces, you go to Maker Faire. If you look around, there are still. I think it's always been a small percentage of people.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Who really get it, really know it, really love it, and nothing's going to stop them from creating. And those people exist. In fact, those are the people who listen to our shows. Those people exist. That's just a minority,
and that counts for the high CPM.
You're talking about
the new studio.
Studio, baby. No.
I just think that we have to figure out something that people can do in this country since
I agree.
There are no manufacturing jobs left. I mean, if we can't be creative, we can't produce something, we're in serious trouble. I'm not saying you can't do that on an iPad. I'm not saying
but you don't want to.
No, iPad's a delivery device. It's not for doing anything.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think that just computing in general is changing. We're thinking of computing as the way that it's been, up until now, which is computers. But, all these mobile phones are actually computers.
Absolutely.
The iPad's actually a computer, and people are just learning different things to do. They're making native apps, but then they're also making web apps, and that's all. That's all part of the same thing. It's just evolving. And
somebody's writing software. There's 300,000 iOS apps.
They're writing them on Macs. They're not writing them on iPads and iPhones.
Well, no, I agree, and so that's the Steve Jobs truck analogy, right?
Exactly.
But I don't think
you underestimate there are a lot of trucks. You get outside of Silicon Valley, and there are a ton of pickup trucks because a lot.
I think you're being a little literal-minded here, Larry.
Well, he was being. I thought the metaphor was very interesting.
It was a good metaphor, but I don't think you can really. I see a lot of trucks still, so there are still trucks out there. But
a lot of people, still have to haul stuff.
I think what it is that we had this science fiction view of the future. And besides not having any flying cars.
Yeah, where's the flying cars?
I think we fully expected that there would be this deep understanding of technology in the generation that grew up with the internet and grew up with technology. And in fact, that's not the case because it's a utility for them. And so there's always been a thin percentage of people who create, who innovate, who invent. The Steve Wozniaks have always been a rare commodity. I don't think they're going to go away. I think there are plenty of them. I think they're just still a rare commodity. That's an unusual skill,
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm more bullish than you, perhaps, Larry. I agree with you that the iPad is a consumption device. I've always said that. And then every time I say it, people say, "Well, no, look at all the things that I can create."
I agree with you 100%. In fact, I've written it up a couple of times. It's a total consumption device, and people, that's why they won, because everyone else who did the pad, they thought of it as an input device with the handwriting recognition and the voice ray and all this. And it was not an input device; it's an output device, and that's just the Steve Jobs genius.
Right.
But, we'll see what happens when the iPad itself and when these other Android tablets actually get much more powerful. Right now, they're pretty limited in terms of power. They can, they run one application at a time, or if they do two, things start to really slow down.
I don't think it's that, MG. I think it's really that the iPad is the TV of the future. It's a very personal consumption device. It's by its very nature.
I think there will be some interesting things that people will be able to do with video editing, like on it, on the fly. Certainly, I don't know if you've tried iMovie on the iPhone. It's hard because it's, on a small screen. But what they can do with that is pretty amazing. It's amazing considering that it's done on a phone. But if you think about, like, if they make these devices much faster and, it's, there's some really cool things.
I will say that I've done keynotes. Normally I'll do a keynote. That's the Apple Presentation Manager on the MacBook, and but I've ported it then over on the iPad, and actually it's kind of fun to physically handle these things and size them. There are some things that touch is better for in terms of creation. I agree.
There are some great music apps for all the iOS devices, and that's the one thing I did see at Macworld that I liked. Were some of the music applications using the iPad as a keyboard or as a composing device for DJs. So it's not totally without its creative advantages. I'm not trying to say completely, but in general, I think John and I agree that it's primarily a consumption device, at least for now.
I assume we're going to have a Yamaha keyboard to do.
There are better devices in almost every case for creating. Now, here's the thing. Now, this event that you talked about, John, News Corp's going to have this event at the museum in New York City to announce daily. Jobs was scheduled to do it in San Francisco. Obviously, Steve. And by the way, there's another example. Are there other Steve Jobs out there? Are there more? Not just Wozniaks, but we need more Steve Jobs?
Such a duplicate.
No, I think the clones are in the vat still. But as soon as they're done, we'll bring them out. So Eddie Q. Do you know the name?
Yeah.
I've heard the name. I have no idea who this person is.
He's the iPod guy at Apple. The iTunes.
He's
that guy, the iPod guy.
iTunes.
The famous guy, yes.
Yeah.
He's going to be doing the event. Eddie, not Steve Jobs, Eddie Q.
Right.
Is he
Well,
okay.
Supposedly, the big component of this, from Apple's perspective at least, that they're going to have this new subscription service that's built into iTunes, so that others besides just the daily will be able to use it. And that's Eddie Q's.
Is this an important announcement?
Potentially, if the daily or something like it takes off.
If it's an important announcement, don't you send Phil Schiller? Don't you send Tim Cook?
Yeah.
Don't you send Scott Forstall? Don't you send somebody of stature and name? You send Eddie Q?
Well, I think they're going through the roster and seeing who's good at getting up on stage besides Jobs. Like you said, they wanted it to be Jobs, obviously, but he can't do that. So, who's the guy who knows most about this? It's Eddie Q.
I think that part of what Apple has to do right now is to show they've got a roster, that they've got a bench. And obviously, Tim Cook is part of that bench, but I think bringing out some of their brighter stars
bring
right
him
now,
off the bench. See if he can make the three.
Well, he better be good. And I would, if I were Rupert Murdoch, the CEO of News Corp, and my partner on stage is Eddie Q, product manager for iTunes subscription services.
Have you ever seen him? Is that what he sounds like? Doing a client. You're just generic nerd.
Wait a minute. With a name like Eddie Q, what else could he sound like?
No, I've interviewed the guy. He's fine.
Hi, I'm Eddie Q.
He could sound like a DJ.
He's got to be from Brooklyn. Eddie Q. Eddie Q.
Make him sound like a mobster now.
Did you see that T-Pain got a Facebook tattoo?
Yeah, that's awesome.
What? That's bizarre.
Yeah.
T-Pain, he's a rapper. Am I right? He's a rapper.
Hip hop.
He's the guy who's famous for auto-tuning everything.
Right.
And look at this tattoo. It is about the most hideous tattoo I've ever seen.
Oh, my God.
It's all swollen.
Well, it's that new tattoos always look like that.
It's still swollen, so yeah.
That's what a new tattoo.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
I like it that he has an 8-bit like button.
Hey, by the way, did you guys see Zuckerberg on Saturday Night Live this week?
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I would play that, but
really
then YouTube
funny.
would pull the video off of, and we'd lose 30,000 views.
Yeah,
People ought to go link on. You got to go look at that, though, if you haven't seen it.
I actually played it.
I found it to be dull.
Well, you know, it's funny because Andy Samberg comes on, and at first you think Andy really is Mark Zuckerberg.
No, I didn't. You know, I didn't realize until Zuckerberg came out. Now I knew that wasn't Zuckerberg because he had personality.
Exactly.
But
that was the clue. Was the guy had personality?
But I didn't realize how much he looks like Zuckerberg when they were both out there. So if he could dumb down the personality part, he'd do a perfect
Nebbish.
Yeah, no,
Jewish
when Zuckerberg
Nebbish
came on. Zuckerberg actually did a good job making fun of himself, and it was a smart move.
Oh, it was great.
I think it was a very clever PR.
Because Eisenberg, who played Zuckerberg in The Social Network, and who, you know, that movie's going to win a lot of Academy Awards. I think there's no doubt about that. So it's foolish for Facebook to fight it. He's on stage. The best thing they could have done is to have Mark come on stage.
Just to plug the movie so they get more sales and they maybe win the Academy Award.
In fact, if you think about it, The Social Network's the best thing that ever happened to Zuck.
Absolutely.
It made him a
Absolutely.
personality.
Look, I know these guys pretty well. And people at Facebook
Do
were
they invite
very
you over to
much
the house
afraid
for
of that
dinner is the
movie.
question.
Do they what, John?
Do they invite you to the house for dinner?
I haven't been over to the house. But the point is that Facebook was afraid of that movie. And when that movie came out, it was the best thing that ever happened to Facebook. And I think that they're riding it right now.
It didn't hurt him.
It doesn't surprise me he showed up.
Yeah.
Didn't hurt him at all.
Just in case anybody might think that T-Pain is, you know, somehow a nitwit for getting
heaven forbid
a
we think
Facebook
that.
tattoo. He explains it all in his tweet. I get a tat every time I come to Hawaii. I think this one's pretty sweet, unless Facebook shuts down soon.
He's very observational.
Yeah.
Don't you run out of skin real estate after a while? I mean, where do you put them?
Every time I come to Hawaii, I get a tattoo.
Is Zuckerberg going to get a T-Pain tattoo is the question now.
I don't think so.
Oh, Lord. All right, let's take a break. I gotta take a break after all that. My brain is swelling. I want to talk about carbonite, and then we'll get back to our fine panel of panelists. Mr. John C. Dvorak. No college football shirt for you today.
Well, college football's over.
Oh, I get it. So you're a fair weather fan.
That's a fair weather. The season's over. I'm rooting for. By the way, I should have mentioned this, and I'm going to probably next time I come on.
You
the
got
show.
a free Kentucky something.
I got a Kentucky shirt, but that's a basketball. I have a couple basketball hoodies, but there's a couple Division II and Division I teams that I didn't get a hoodie from them. The winners of the.
So would you like to name those, and perhaps?
I'll do it on another show when I can harp on it.
Okay. Fair enough. Also with us, MG Siegler, who is the best thing that ever happened to TechCrunch, if you don't mind my saying so. Don't tell Mike Arrington I said that.
I agree with that.
Is he trying to get fired from AOL? Is that what's going on there?
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
not gonna get involved in
No, you shouldn't say a thing.
He's totally trying to get fired from AOL.
I'm just going to keep the camera on you, MG, until you melt away. So, did you see what Mike did? I know you did it, MG, but did you see what Mike did?
What was the latest?
So remember, he was kind of ragging on Joshua Topolsky and Engadget. I mean, saying terrible things. This is the #1 money-making blog for AOL, which also owns TechCrunch. And the latest thing is, he says, I hate those takeover ads, the interstitial ads when you go to a website. And he says, there's one on TechCrunch. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I don't know who sold this, our guys or AOL's guys, but I hate these. The real blogs don't have interstitial ads. He says, I'll probably have to go to a 6-hour meeting with a PowerPoint deck. That's how much pain I'm going to go through on this, but I'm going to fight it. I thought that was pretty fun. Actually, I admire him for saying that because I completely agree with him. I think it's totally bogus.
No, I agree.
Oh, yeah, we all hate that ad.
Everybody
obviously.
hates that. And I don't think it helps anybody. Because I bet half the time I do intentionally when I get those takeover ads, I say, I guess I don't want to read that article. I hate it when they go, we're loading the page.
No, I've done that.
5,
I've bailed
4, 3.
I've bailed out on plenty of pages because of
3, 2. Yeah. There's one thing that's worse. And TechCrunch doesn't do this. We don't do this. The blogs that they have like random words underlined.
Oh, please, they're terrible.
And then if you move a mouse anywhere near that underlining, a whole thing pops up.
I know.
That's terrible.
I hate those.
That's
I'm
just
always
sucks.
accidentally clicking on those sites and hating them.
That's just exactly, because you end up seeing that.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's amazing.
Who thinks that's a good idea?
It's weird. I've talked to people about some of these crazy ideas, and they always blame the sales guys. Oh, the sales guys, they sold it because these sales guys, they're working on commission. They don't care whether anyone comes to the site or not. They just want to sell, and they ruin many a site.
But you drive off.
This is why your stuff is so good, Leo, because you are the guy that says no to the BS.
Well, I don't think any ad should take over a website and then you can't listen to the show or anything until you get through the ad. What a terrible idea.
Wait a minute, Leo. I've seen ads on your show.
In fact, let's take a break. I'm just giving you a chance, you see, for all of you to take a little break. You can go to the bathroom or whatever and relax while I talk about backup with Carbonite.com. Actually, I'm a big fan of Carbonite.com. Carbonite is the way to back up everything on your PC or your Mac. Unlimited backup for the personal stuff on your internal drive. They don't back up the operating system, but who needs to do that, right? They back up your data. Now, there's something I rarely talk about. I should really promote. You know, we all are big fans of cloud storage. One of the things that Carbonite does that I think people don't think about, when that backup's complete, you can log onto your Carbonite account from any computer. You don't have to wait till a disaster. Anytime. Or from their smartphone apps, their free Carbonite smartphone apps, and there's your data. So it's a way of actually making your data available everywhere you go. Now, that's pretty slick. And this costs 15 cents a day, $55 a year for unlimited backup, PC or Mac. I think that's a pretty good deal, but I want you to try it before you buy it. So go to Carbonite.com right now and use the offer code TWiT. Carbonite.com. Offer code TWiT. You get 2 free weeks, and if you decide to buy, continue to use the offer code TWiT because that'll get you 2 months additional. Absolutely free. It is backup done. Right. Carbonite. I think I have frozen up the TriCaster here. Let me see. Yeah, that's all right. I can still switch. We're gonna have a Carbonite ad here forever. No, there it goes. Okay. Everybody's left. Oh no, wait a minute. Larry's still here. Thank you for not giving up on us, Larry. Oh, I know what I did. I turned off your microphone. There we go.
Yeah.
Now you may speak. Carbonite.
Well,
have you seen this Roy Castillo thing? Did you see that, MG? Did you get that on your Facebook? Do you know what I'm talking about? That weird
Which thing?
Roy Castillo. It's weird. It's just a weird. It's like a hack. First Zuck's page gets hacked.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was
I haven't seen
wild.
this other thing.
And then there's this. Yeah. Then there's this mysterious Roy Castillo. So I don't know if it's a. It's got to be a hack. It's a ghost friend. A man's name, but it's actually a picture of a teenage girl wearing sunglasses with WTF on it.
mm-hmm.
And and what happens is you'll be wandering along on Facebook, and all of a sudden in your news feed you'll see Roy Castillo saying "off to Danao City," and you can't delete it, and you can't delete him because he's not in your friends list. It's just a weird. Now Thursday it disappeared. But now there's a Roy Castillo WTF fan page on Facebook. Of course.
Yeah.
So you too can share the Roy Castillo WTF fun. And I believe there's even a Twitter. I just love the internet. What would we do without that?
I think we should shut it down. I mean, maybe Mubarak had the right idea.
This is why they want a kill switch. It's for stuff like this.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
I've always thought the internet should be shut down completely and re-engineered.
For better mileage?
Well, for more
IP
spam
addresses?
prevention and
Actually, we may. You know what? You may get your wish, John, in September.
Really. What's this with the IPv4 running out of addresses and the IPv6? I mean,
we call that the iPocalypse.
could happen.
Right, and incompatible pages, and we're going to have 2 internets. How are we going to do this?
We had actually a really good interview, which is going to be up on our TWiT specials feeds. Or actually, we have a new show. Don't tell John, it's called Triangulation.
You're taking my old show name?
We did 1 episode. Oh. And I kept saying, come back and do more, and you never did. So I said, well, we got the name. We might as well use it. John and I interviewed Larry Lessig. It was your idea to call it Triangulation because it was like 2 people interviewing a third person.
Do I get a gift, maybe?
Yeah, I'll give you a gift. Give John a gift. I got some Balvenie over there that's unopened. No, I'll give you a gift. We got a gift for you. A lovely parting gift. And anyway, this show is a great show. Instead of you, because you never could show up, it's Tom Merritt and me interviewing interesting people. Here, I got this. Very few people ever get these. This is a cloth TWiT patch. And if you want to get a tattoo, I wouldn't stop you.
See, here's the gift I get.
That's it. Lovely tweet. I don't even know where those came from. Those are limited edition. They don't.
He gave me a Ford Mustang, so what can I say?
Shh, Larry, Mustang me. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying.
You said you stole my show name, and you're doing it with Tom
Oh, we
Harris.
interviewed Dane Jasper, who's the founder of local internet service provider, actually one of the best internet service providers ever, independent ISP called SonicNet. And I asked him about IPv4, V6, because, of course, it's where it's going to happen is internet service providers. It's not you that's going to run out of addresses. It's the ISPs that are going to run out of addresses. And he said he's of the opinion it'll never happen. I mean, not that they won't ever run out, but that we'll ever get to IPv6 because it's such a huge technical hurdle.
There's a lot of people that have said that over the years. In fact, I first heard that exact same thing back in the pre-.com bubble era in the mid-'90s.
Yeah, well, I mean, this Vince Cerf's been going around saying we're going to run out of addresses for years.
Yeah, but the thing is with NAT, with the network,
with NAT,
and also sharing that at the ISP level. And all the, I mean, if you have a Comcast account and you check your IP, you take a 2-week vacation and come back, you got a new IP address.
Right. But so that's it exactly. In fact, he said there's going to be something called carrier NAT, where they do NAT so they can get more addresses. There'll be ways to solve this.
No, I believe that we are going to switch.
You think we'll go to 6?
I've taken the other side of this debate. Yeah, there's going to be some patches, and it's going to happen because there's too much money involved. I mean, the kind of money that Cisco will be making some of these other companies, if we can switch over to IPv6,
it's pretty ugly.
It's huge.
Well, that's right.
Huge.
They'll want to do it. Everybody has to buy new routers.
There'll be ways. There'll be a workaround. You watch.
Hey, all hail Maria Cantwell, the senator from Washington State, who has introduced a new bill, net neutrality bill. Remember, the FCC approved net neutrality regulations, but only for landline carriers, exempting wireless carriers. She wants to extend it to wireless carriers with the Internet Freedom, Broadband Promotion, and Consumer Protection Act of 2011. She's got my vote. Al Franken, co-sponsor. Both of them say the FCC
it's a good
rules
point.
don't
I
go far
mean,
enough.
when you think about it, that the growing segment of the internet is not landlines, and
right
between all the phones out there, and even if Clearwire or somebody else ever gets their act together, LTE, that is definitely where it's going. And if you exempt broadband, what's the point of doing net neutrality? Sort of, here's net neutrality for the 20th century internet. What about the 21st century internet?
Right, and that's why it was so disheartening that Google was kind of supporting this along with Verizon. You know, when they brought up that thing. We'll see if it's any different now that Larry Page is in charge.
What? Google has something up their sleeve?
Yeah, I think they're going to.
It isn't Eric Schmidt.
I think they're going to be an ISP
I hope so.
And they're going to compete with Singular, or maybe they even buy them.
Well, even if they
Singular's
don't, I mean, Android is totally dependent. I mean, they are definitely, whether they're an ISP or not, they are very much involved in the mobile industry right now, and they're in bed with all the ISPs, certainly the mobile carriers.
Well, something's up with these guys.
It'd be interesting to see. There is going to be a football game next week.
Yeah, the Supra Bowl.
Supra?
That's what it should be called.
Because it's better than Super? It's Supra?
It's more modern.
So I don't know about you, but I like the game, but usually the game's not the greatest football game ever. It's the commercials that really are.
I think the commercials have deteriorated. I think they peaked out around 1999. It used to be,
you know what? You're right. It used to be that it was really exciting, and now it's less, you're right, it's less surprising, I guess.
Yeah, well, for one thing, they're too expensive. So they blow the budget on actually running the ads. And then they're all conservative.
Do you remember the
now.
first .com ad you saw in a Super Bowl?
Yeah,
Is
it was,
GoDaddy.
Well,
it wasn't GoDaddy. No. I think it was.
No, but GoDaddy. I don't know if they're going to have an ad this year.
They are. They've said they're going to have
those
an ad.
.com companies, Monster and the rest of them, back in the day, they had they had money to burn. It was before the .com crash, so they throw it away on crazy creative ideas. And now nobody wants to waste any money, so they've got the focus groups, and everybody comes in and they tell, oh, you can't do that, you can't do this, and so the creativity is down the tubes. It's not interesting anymore.
I'm trying to remember what the first
Pets.com had one, right? That was
Pets. Was it Pets? Yeah, maybe it was Pets.com.
Well,
a lot of good that
was
did
a big
them.
story.
Yeah.
That was a big story at the time when the net finally made it to the Super Bowl. Now, of course, there'll be a ton of
I have one of those sock
ads.
puppets.
Do you?
Yeah.
Like the Pets.com sock puppet itself?
Yeah, that little puppet.
Like the actual...
Yeah, they were selling them. They were $10,
that's cool.
and there was the last thing that they did before
Best
they went
thing
out
they
of
sold, yeah.
I should have bought two.
So, according to Investors Business Daily, E-Trade Financial, that's the one with the little baby, right? That I like that one. Those
I
are
don't
good.
like it. I don't like seeing a baby talk. It's disconcerting.
It is disconcerting. But I wouldn't abnegate it. I wouldn't eschew baby talking. E-Trade Career Builder will be back. GoDaddy.
You think I'm being some sort of intellectually
It's a little abstruse.
abstruse? Yeah. You're talking about the abnegation word.
Yeah, it's a little
So
abstruse.
you found it offensive in some
Not
funny way.
offensive, merely...
You thought I was being pretentious by using it.
I think you were obfuscating. Perhaps, just slightly.
Huh. I didn't know you were so
It was
bigoted
hotly.
about
It was a
Big
little
look
sesquipedalian, to be honest.
You know, you're being a bigot about two-bit words or whatever they used to call them. $2 words, $3 words. I can't remember.
I'm sorry, just a trifle sesquipedalian. GoDaddy's back with those sexy ads. I don't like those. Bugs the hell out of me.
Why?
I don't think there should be any sex.
You don't think there should be any teasing? It's teasing.
It's teasing, and you know what they do? You know what really bugs me? They say, for the rest of this super hot commercial, go to GoDaddy.com. You get there, nothing happens.
I know that's the disappointment. We should see people naked.
I want nudity.
And you know, and the funny thing is that GoDaddy CEO Bob Parsons got to start selling electronic Bibles. I mean, I don't think that the Bible Belt that gave him his fortune is particularly happy about the way he's advertising today.
He was also notorious for Pack Rat, which was his.
Pack Rat, what's that? Oh, I liked Pack Rat.
Remember that? Well,
that was a
Bob.
great program. That was Bob Parsons?
Yeah.
Well, I take it all back, Bob, because I liked Pack Rat.
Yeah.
It was
That's when Bob was normal. He was more normal back in those days. Now he's like a celebrity, and he's, you know.
Cars.com. Motorola Solutions Inc. is going to be back for a second year after sitting out the previous 4 games. Salesforce.com, CRM
that's the
company.
big one, right?
Now, that's
the new,
a popular.
new big one.
Everybody drinking beer is going to love to go out and buy from Salesforce.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I love me some CRM.
Yep.
The company will run
Google,
ads
will
at
they,
that.
will they be back though?
Google might be
That
back.
was the they did that famous one last year. You know, the love one.
Yeah, which
wasn't
we
it?
had seen before. It was kind of strange. It was the Google search, and we'd seen it before, and I thought they'd be doing something more
I
original.
don't remember it.
Oh, it's a great ad. In fact, there've been a lot of parodies. In fact, Google even has a page now where you make your own Google Super Bowl. You've seen that.
I don't remember it.
I'll play it later. I don't want to give them any free ads. It's like $4 million, right, for a 30-second ad on the Super Bowl. It's a huge amount
Some
of money.
ridiculous amount.
Oh, no, I don't want to hear you complaining about the CPMs here.
I'm not complaining. I think it's good deal.
You know who will not
You're
be
actually
back?
your actually CPM is probably low. I think you're probably offering advertisers.
It is. It's too cheap.
A tremendous bargain.
It's a fabulous bargain. You know who will not be on? Intel. Remember those great ads? Bum, 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 bum. I love those. Where they
Hey, I just found out that guy that was in the commercial where he came in as the big
The rock
celebrity,
star?
that was the rock star USB guy. He was an actor.
No.
Yes.
He wasn't a very good actor.
Yeah,
The guy
that
who was
Indian
supposed to
guy
be
who
the
comes in
Intel
who supposedly
employee that-
invented the USB was an
That
actor.
wasn't the guy who invented
No.
USB?
No.
That's lame.
I'm going to
Because
take the Intel
I was
processor out of my computer.
stunned.
How do I, if I could only take apart the MacBook Air, I'd pull the
Just take it
processor
right out.
I can't. There's no screws. Well,
Qualcomm will not be back. Monster.com. And you know what's not going to be back? And this was the best ad, I thought. Best tech ad. The guy who was, remember, shopping, his wife or girlfriend was making him shop. And the announcer says, "Oh, this is sad. And he said, don't be like this guy."
Oh yeah, that's actually pretty funny.
That was the
I
Flow
thought that was
TV ad,
creative.
but unfortunately, I think Flow TV isn't doing all that well, so they don't have the money for it this time around. This is really, you're right, John. Even today, it's spending the VC's money when you're on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Sprint, Metro PCS, and Vizio haven't announced whether they'll be back. Neither has IBM. I don't know. I like watching the ads. Hulu says
What's
it will
IBM
not come
gonna
back.
sell?
Remember those great Hulu ads with William Shatner and how Hulu makes your brain mush? Wasn't it Shatner? Who was it? Wasn't Shatner.
They had Alec Baldwin.
So,
yeah,
those
that's
are
right.
great. I love those ads.
Shatner does Priceline.
That's right.
And he admitted once he's never actually bought anything on Priceline.
What?
He
Really?
sells things. Oh yeah, he's never. Well, he's going to buy a ticket on Priceline.
How do I use the internet?
got his own private jet.
He get a great price on an airfare.
Now, here's the interesting one. Watch carefully. Groupon may have an ad.
Yeah.
I would if I were Groupon. I would figure that's
have the money.
They have not only they have the money, that's the audience, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's who you want to
for
get
sure.
to.
I think
be
so,
perfect.
yeah.
GoDaddy bought 2 ads. All right, that's enough.
Yeah, I think so.
Time to go home. John C. Dvorak,
bad,
you are the guy at channeldvorak.com. Also, No Agenda?
NoAgendaShow.com. Which people should check in.
Every Sunday morning?
If you're a libertarian. If you're not, don't watch or listen.
If you believe in liberty.
Believe in liberty and freedom.
And freedom, are you for or against Cabletown?
I'm actually for it, personally.
You think the merger of Comcast and NBC Universal is a good idea?
I don't have a problem with it like everyone else does.
Yeah, who cares?
I think they got to get, they got to do something to I don't know. I just think
it's a dead industry.
I don't have a problem with Comcast. In fact, generally speaking, I feel that they're Comcastic.
Shut up. MG Siegler doesn't like that one bit. He's at TechCrunch.com. The man, the myth, the man who powers TechCrunch. Powers it. Thank you.
Totally.
I'll see you at Hotel Biron.
Yes, come by. It's great.
Buy a beer.
Cool.
And Larry Magid from Larry'sWorld.com. And, of course, you hear him on CBS Radio all the time. Thank you, Larry, for joining us.
Always fun.
Really appreciate it. And we thank Anas Qtiesh for joining us earlier to talk a little bit about what was going on in Egypt. Fascinating story there. Thank you all for joining us. Tom Merritt will be filling in for me next week, but it will be a great show. I've already seen the proposed panel, and it should be marvelous. I will be back a couple of weeks, 3 weeks from now, with all my other stuff.
Have a great trip, Lou.
I'm excited. I'm really
fun.
jazzed. I won't do. I shouldn't take a 3-week vacation. It's a bad idea, but I couldn't.
I think you need some time off.
I do. I'm looking forward to it. Let's see. You can watch this show every Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern at live.twit.tv, but do subscribe as well because that's the way to guarantee you got every episode, either audio or video, on your computer the minute it comes out. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Another Twit is in the can. So here's the deal.
So, John, you do this show from home a lot, right? Or from your...
Yes, he does.
I usually do it from the car.
What do you do with the Skype window that has the show in it? Do you look at that or just hide it completely?
Yeah,
I would look at that. No, I would look at that. I would look at that in the Skype window. Otherwise, you get confused, and I would close any other windows that have the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely do that.
Your eyes are down a little bit if you do that. That's the only problem.
Oh, well.
Just squint.
When you're talking,
No
look
one
at me.
notices.
The rest of the time, you can look down as if you're thinking.
I don't worry about it.
Okay. No, with
I spend most of my time.
John's like, when John does it, he's this far away.
I'm a mile away. It's true. I'm a mile away, and I got the Barney. I just like a lot of props in the background.
This is how John does it, so we don't know where John's looking.
That's better than the turtle look like on Oprah.
Well, I mean, it's all these guys that have got their heads right in the monitor scares me.